for the next tenure.
So the BJP growing in Meghalaya, but at the cost of their erstwhile alliance partner, the NPP, which in all likelihood will also be their future alliance partner.
Absolutely.
Well, there are no permanent friends and enemies, but there are permanent gains for the BJP wherever it decides.
EPS, OPS, Eknath Shinde, Uddhav Thackeray. Similar, they have applied the formula in Northeast.
Interesting. That from Eknath Shinde, Uddhav Thackeray, they have applied this formula here, you say. Ravikant is joining us live from the BJP war room in Agartala. But before we go across to him, Ravikant, before we come to you, I want to quickly take our viewers through the numbers over here. Now, BJP was predicting a tsunami that hasn't quite happened. And I think the one entity they will have to blame for that is Tripura Motha and Pradyut Dev Burman.
And on their own
commendable
side,
performance.
the IPFT, which has almost made way for the Tripura Motha. Look at seat after seat. It's the IPFT which has made way for the Tripura Motha.
So they made a good calculation saying that we will hold the chips as far as the alliance with IPFT is concerned. And maybe this is a short-term pain, but for the BJP, you would think it will be a long-term gain.
It could even be a blessing in disguise. Because now if somehow the BJP cobbles up a government, it's going to be a government practically independent of the IPFT.
Exactly.
It's going to be a BJP government.
And then it will be a bipolar, right, Jay? So as far as Tripura is concerned, BJP is in the driver's seat. And you have got a strong party which is echoing the feelings and the needs of the tribals in Tripura, which is not also entirely close to doing business with them in the future. They've met.
Absolutely.
They haven't seen eye to eye. Maybe they see eye to eye. Who knows?
No. And looking at the past history, the BJP has always succeeded in co-opting leaders of the Northeast. I mean, that's a track record since 2014.
Well, we are not saying anything just as yet. Meetings have happened, not happened. Nobody knows. That Radisson Hotel, now the whole country knows about it after Eknath Shinde and camp was staying over there for a very long time. Ravikant, क्या स्ट्रैटेजी है? सीट्स अभी दिख रही हैं 30 राउंड अबाउट इज बीजेपी एंड आईपीएफटी, त्रिपुरा मोठा 16, कांग्रेस प्लस एट 14 और रादर सीपीएम प्लस एट 14. अभी बीजेपी में क्या हलचल है, रविकांत?
देखिए पद्मजा, इस वक्त मैं अगरतला में भारतीय जनता पार्टी का जो कैंप कार्यालय है वहां की तस्वीरें दिखा रहा हूं, क्योंकि मिनट टू मिनट यहां पर कार्यकर्ताओं को अपडेट किया जा रहा है. और इसी कार्यालय में जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट के संयोजक बनाए गए संबित पात्रा, त्रिपुरा के जो इंचार्ज हैं महेश शर्मा और महेंद्र सिंह, तीनों नेता यहां पर कैंप कर रहे हैं. बीजेपी इस बात को लेकर कॉन्फिडेंट है कि 12 बजते बजते तक वो मैजिक फिगर को यहां पर गेन कर लेगी. लेकिन बीजेपी इस बात को बखूबी जानती थी कि अगर बिप्लब देव को टाइम से नहीं बदला गया होता तो ये आंकड़े भी वो यहां पर प्राप्त करने में उसको बहुत दिक्कतें होती. इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के चेहरे और वर्तमान के जो मुख्यमंत्री हैं उनको आगे करके ये पूरा चुनाव लड़ा गया है. लेकिन मुकाबला जो है चतुष्कोणीय हो गया और इसका नुकसान जो है वो फिलहाल सीटों में भारतीय जनता पार्टी को यहां पर दिखाई दे रहा है. लेकिन कांग्रेस को भी लेफ्ट के साथ गठबंधन करने का उतना फायदा यहां पर नहीं मिला है. इसीलिए बीजेपी उम्मीद कर रही है कि जैसे जैसे समय आगे बढ़ेगा उसकी सीटें बढ़ेंगी और वो एक बार दोबारा जो है त्रिपुरा में सरकार बनाने में कामयाब रहेगी. अगर कहीं कोई दिक्कत
रविकांत, एक बार आप हमें दिखा सकते हैं वॉर रूम कैसा होता है? क्योंकि ज्यादातर लोग जब पढ़ते हैं न्यूज़पेपर में और जब भी आप इलेक्शन कवर करने जाते हैं तो लोग बहुत हंसते हैं जब आप बात करो कि भाई ये शक्ति केंद्र होता है, पन्ना प्रमुख होते हैं, वॉर रूम होता है. लोगों को लगता है ये सब ट्विटर की रेटरिक है. दिखता कैसा है एक वॉर रूम? दिखाइए एक बार, इलेक्शन मशीन के अंदर जाके देखते हैं.
बिल्कुल पद्मजा, मैं यहाँ की तस्वीरें दिखाता हूँ. सबसे पहले तो यहाँ पर जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता आते हैं, प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस होती है, उन लोगों को बैठने के लिए यहाँ पर जगह दी जाती है. उसके बाद मैं वॉर रूम के अंदर आपको लेकर चलता हूँ और दिखाता हूँ कि किस तरीके से छोटे छोटे यहाँ पर जिम्मेदारियां बांटी जाती हैं. देखिए यहाँ पर इलेक्शन मैनेजमेंट के लिए रूम बना हुआ है. इसकी जिम्मेदारी किसी एक व्यक्ति को दी जाती है. एंट्री रिस्ट्रिक्टेड है, इसीलिए मैं अंदर नहीं जा सकता. इसके अलावा प्रोटोकॉल और स्टेट लीडर्स का जो टूर प्रोग्राम होता है जब वो यहाँ पर आते हैं, वो यहाँ पर मीडिया सेल के जो हेड हैं वो भी हमारे साथ मिल गए. किस तरीके से ये पूरा कैंप ऑफिस काम करता है और कैसे आप लोग वॉर रूम के दौरान जो है नेताओं के संपर्क में रहते हैं, कार्यकर्ताओं के संपर्क?
हम लोगों का डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट होता है, ये चुनाव से पहले डिक्लेयर हो जाता है कौन क्या काम करेगा, तो उस हिसाब से हम लोगों को काम करना होता है। ये प्रोटोकॉल लियासन होता है, स्टेट लीडर प्रोग्राम होता है, सेंट्रल लीडर के भी प्रोग्राम होते हैं, इलेक्शन मैनेजमेंट होता है, कौन सीईओ के साथ बात करेगा, सभी विभाग अलग से है।
आप लोग कॉन्फिडेंट हैं कि त्रिपुरा में दोबारा सरकार आ रही है?
हाँ, हम लोग बहुत ही कॉन्फिडेंट है। ये
लेकिन आंकड़े तो फ्लक्चुएट कर रहे हैं ऊपर नीचे।
अभी तो ये इनिशियल रिजल्ट है ना, ये 11 बजे तक पूरा पिक्चर क्लियर हो जाएगा। आप लोग देखिएगा जो आधार जो पार्टी इनिशियल ट्रेंड जो है, इसमें भी हम लोग दूसरे पार्टी से बहुत आगे हैं।
चलिए आगे की तस्वीरें दिखाता हूं मैं पद्मजा जी। ये अलग रूम है। अगर किसी को रैली के लिए चॉपर की व्यवस्था करनी है, चार्टर्ड प्लेन की व्यवस्था करनी है, उसके लिए भी एक पूरा अलग विंग होता है। ये सेंट्रल टीम जो आती है दिल्ली से, वो कैसे स्टेट से कोऑर्डिनेट करती है, उसके लिए अलग व्यवस्था की जाती है। इसके अलावा बहुत सारे लीगल इशू होते हैं, उसके लिए लीगल सेल बनाया जाता है। ये तमाम तस्वीरें जो है मैं वॉर रूम की दिखा रहा हूँ अंदर, और ये जो रूम आप देख रहे हैं, इसी रूम नंबर में जो यहाँ पर नॉर्थ ईस्ट के जो संयोजक हैं, संबित पात्रा हैं, तमाम जो लोग हैं वो यहाँ पर बैठे हुए हैं। तस्वीरें ये देखिए, तमाम जो नेता हैं इस कमरे के अंदर दिखाई दे रहे होंगे, और वो अंदर जाने की मनाही है, इसलिए मैं अंदर की तस्वीरें आपको नहीं दिखा रहा हूँ। तो इस तरीके से ये पूरा का पूरा वॉर रूम जो है वो काम करता है। और आज फाइनल इम्तिहान का रिजल्ट आने वाला है, इसीलिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी किसी भी प्रकार का कोई रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहती है। उसके तीनों बड़े नेता जिनके पास नॉर्थ ईस्ट की जिम्मेदारी है, उनको एक्टिवेट करके रखा गया, सबसे संपर्क में है, और अगर कहीं पर ऊपर नीचे होता है तो उसका इंतजाम भी यहीं से किया जाएगा।
वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। जो आपने पूरी इलेक्शन मशीन और वॉर रूम दिखाई है, उसमें दो कमरे सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग मुझे लगे। एक तो था लीगल सेल, क्योंकि अगर कुछ होता है इधर उधर गड़बड़, इफ देयर इज अ हंग हाउस, एंड द अदर इज द एविएशन सेल। इफ somebody needs to be flown in, वो जल्दी जल्दी कोऑर्डिनेट हो जाए, कुछ पता नहीं रहता। गोवा जैसी सिचुएशन भगवान न करे हो गई किसी पार्टी के लिए, तो भाई एविएशन जल्दी होना चाहिए और लीगल जल्दी होना चाहिए। क्यों
होटल भी तैयार है, होटल रूम with the hospitality should also be in there. Apart from that, Padmaja, I want to say about the governors. If you permit me, the way in which from 2014, Jai Murug, from 2014 to 2019, I studied the posting of at least 8 governors in northeastern. All the governors are were from RSS and hardcore Modi Bhakt.
Yes.
My understanding is that Prime Minister depended on 3 issues. One, governors, those they have done their homework very well. Second, La Bharatis. Third, women voters. So with this, Prime Minister had got that relief today with 3 states getting into his fold.
And a lot of people say that in the Northeast, and you'd be surprised, in the general parlance, Mr. Rajgopalan, they say that there is no space for the RSS in the Northeast.
No, but
it's
RSS played a crucial
small.
role. RSS played a crucial role in Northeastern province, and most
a lot of
them,
people, in fact, know about Sunil Deodhar, the fact that the CPM was thrown out of power because he stayed there.
Many more
he learned
names
the
like
language.
that. And apart from that, my understanding is one governor of Northeast told me 7 sisters are called Namaste. Nagaland, what they said,
Arunachal.
Assam, Manipur, Arunachal, Sikkim, Tripura. So they say Namaste. They make everything into, Hindutva side. Therefore, even Northeast, if you say Namaste, they say.
So Namaste Sada Vatsale, that's what they'll be hoping, कि Northeast में आपका Namaste हो जाए. चलिए, in a sense that a welcoming Namaste, not a thank you Namaste. Okay, Tripura numbers we've got now, and we also have Mr. Nilanjan Das, political analyst, joining us now, and MP and national spokesperson GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP with us. Before I come across to you, Mr. Rao, let's take a look at the latest numbers we have from all 3 states. We'll quickly go across it. In Tripura, we've got out of 60, BJP plus 28. At 28, Congress plus at 15. Tripura Motha at this point 16. Has overtaken the Congress alliance. Nagaland is more or less a given. Very comfortable. NDPP and BJP, very, very comfortable over there. Take a look at the comparison where the BJP alliance or the NDPP alliance has taken a much bigger leap as compared to the performance last time around. The NPF here is at 5, but this was almost a given. Most people had already said that. Finally, we are going to take a look at Meghalaya. And if you take a look at the comparison of Meghalaya, the story here is how, look at the green. This is the Congress here in fluorescent green.
Yeah.
It's shrinking footprint here in its traditional strongholds. Yeah. In all of these border areas, the Congress almost disappearing and the BJP extending its footprint.
And almost sort of looking like a pan-state party. It's not just focused on the Khasi or the Garo Hills. It's a pan-state party now.
So, I want to come across to you, Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, and not talk about the results for just a second. You are also a part of the election machinery. Most people are very curious. How does the BJP select who is going to be state election in charge? प्रभारी कैसे चुने जाते हैं? How is it really decided? RSS का क्या role रहता है? Especially when there is curiosity about this whole machine in states like the ones we are seeing results for today. Tell us a little bit about the way your party functions.
No, Padmaja, I think it is an organizational matter and not something for discussion on a television channel. I think it's the party's top leadership, national leadership, which decides all issue organizational matters, and that's not something that I'm not privy to every decision, and also I would not like to talk about this in public. It's an organizational issue. But if you were to ask me how do we yeah, this is purely an internal matter. I think, please, it's not proper.
Okay,
and I'm not privy also.
Okay, you don't want to give away your trade secrets just as yet. Let's talk about the increasing footprint. Is it up to the mark or up to your satisfaction? The fact that Tripura you have managed to hold on, and in Meghalaya you have actually increased your footprint, Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao.
Certainly, I think, Padmaja, as you know, the BJP has really focused on every state, but particularly northeastern states have received a massive thrust from the governance point of view also, because in the past there was a sense of alienation in the northeastern region because people sitting in government in Delhi did not give it the kind of due importance. Honorable Prime Minister has made 51 visits to northeastern states in the last 8.5–9 years that he has been Prime Minister, and that is more than the number of visits made by all Prime Ministers put together before him. That itself tells you how much importance the northeastern region receives, not from a political standpoint alone, but from a governance point of view, and also from an integration point of view. And the peace that prevails in northeastern states today is entirely due to the focus of the government and Honorable Prime Minister. Every union minister visits a state in the northeastern states once every 15 days. These states, 7 northeastern states and Sikkim together are described as the Ashtalakshmi. There has been a massive surge in infrastructure development in the northeastern region. So for us, being in political growth, our political growth is in the northeast is a result of our commitment and our efforts towards developing the northeastern region and ensuring on par development with the rest of India.
Christian population, tribal population, corruption is an issue, development is the most important issue, and in all of those four, what was the strategy employed and how it has paid off? I want to go across to our colleagues on the ground. Tamal Saha, in fact, is joining us from Agartala. We have another colleague also live with us. And I will come to you, Mr. Nilanjan Das, because you were keen to find out what are the numbers for the TMC like in Tripura. Tamal, first I want to start by asking you, do you have a breakup of how in Meghalaya and in Tripura, the TMC is faring? At least according to our numbers, in Tripura, they haven't really been able to open their bank much. They are still at zero. In Meghalaya, do you have any idea? Okay, let's take a look at the numbers for Tripura over here. 60 leads that we have. In this, the BJP is just a little shy of the halfway mark. You've got the BJP by itself. Oh, interesting. The BJP by itself is at 29.
Which has got wiped out, not the BJP as much.
What was the BJP's number on its own last time around in Tripura?
Last time around, the BJP got 36 on its own. And now the BJP has lost, but marginally.
Okay.
It's the IPFT which had the largest share.
Which has major losses.
Major losses, just down to 1. right? So
this could get close, Jay. From what we are seeing right now, it seemed that the alliance, the BJP-IPFT alliance, was very, very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Now getting quite close. But despite that, it's not as if the others have some great numbers. Because even if Tripura, Motha and Congress come together, they do not have anywhere close to the numbers.
See, let's look at it.
Okay, no, wait. So 13, 11 Congress.
No, but let's look at it this way. Mr. Burman of the Tripura Motha has traditionally worked on the other side of the CPM. A jump across the fence is not going to be so psychologically.
Let's ask Tamal. Tamal, is this a possibility? We're just doing a little bit of back of the envelope calculation, and it seems BJP 29 and CPM Congress, if they come together with Pradyot Dev Burma, will also be exactly at 29. Could a link up like this happen?
Second down the counting chair.
Well, it is possible. It is possible because, mind in Pradyot Dev Burman has not really confirmed as yet with his numbers indicative which way would he go. He has always ducked that question and maintained that he maintains very good terms with all the political party, be it BJP or be it left and Congress. Very important, Padmaja, yesterday, I have learned from a very credible source, right? Yesterday, Hemanta Biswa Sarma also had a phone conversation with Pradyot Dev Burman. Now, Pradyot Dev Burman says that he is in good touch with every political party. He spoke to Hemanta Biswa Sarma and he spoke to other leaders as well. But when you juxtapose the fact that this conversation happens right before the results, it becomes extremely significant. When you juxtapose with the fact that Hemanta Biswa Sarma also held a secret meeting with Conrad Sangma, sitting Chief Minister from Meghalaya from NPP, that too in Guwahati, it becomes extremely significant. To answer your question, Padmaja, I know Trinamool Congress spokesperson Nilanjan is there. I don't think they would be very much excited to know how much they are faring in Tripura because the numbers are abysmally low. All the constituencies in Agartala where 14 seats are being counted, Trinamool Congress on an average, wherever they have contested, they are around 100, 120. In comparison to Left and Congress or BJP, where the numbers have soared to 4 digits, say 3,000, 5,000, 9,000 for that matter, Trinamool Congress is abysmally low. Very important, Dr. Manik Shah, sitting Chief Minister of BJP in Tripura, contesting from Town Bordoli, he is leading by 347 votes. Now that is a very crucial seat and he's leading by 347 votes from Congress, that is Ashish Shah. And Shudip Roy Bormon, who was with Congress, came to BJP, was part of the government and then left BJP, joined Congress. He is leading handsomely. So that particular seat, which is 6 Agartala, is more or less seems to have gone in the way of Shudip Roy Bormon as was expected. But other seats, when you talk about Town Bordoli, BJP is marginally ahead, but there are several other seats where BJP is leading by a handsome number. Trinamool Congress is nowhere close to even distant third or distant fourth. But Tripura Motha, yes, there are a couple of seats. For example, Simna, Tripura Motha, which is an urban area where Tripura Motha is leading by a huge margin. So overall, after round 2 and round 3, it seems like we cannot really confirm which side is going. But to go back to your question, whether there is a possibility of BJP getting themselves restricted to 29, what happens then? Well, if we have to believe our sources, then hotel politics might take a center stage. Most of the political parties have started booking their hotels outside Tripura.
Well, a good thing then that you already have advanced reservations for the next few days, Tamal. You might just have to continue there. But what a lovely place to be in anyway. I envy you. So, Mr. Nilanjan Das, I hope you got the answer for TMC as far as Tripura is concerned. Now, let's quickly get the numbers for Trinamool Congress for Meghalaya as well for you. Let me go across to Nibir for that. These are the trends that we have so far. But we don't have the exact breakup for TMC here. BJP is at 8 and we have others at 20. Congress, 27 it's suddenly gone up to. NPP at 21 and Congress is at 5. Can you tell us how the TMC on its own is faring in Meghalaya, Nibir?
Well, the leads indicate at least 7. We know question marks on those. because the other parties are also faring quite well in those constituencies as well as the TMC is concerned. We are presently in one of the polling counting centers in Shillong. This is the Polo counting center, and as you can see here, people are quite anxious because of they are waiting since morning, and the celebrations are not there yet started because they are not quite sure as to what happens, and that's why we are seeing people from across the party in front of these counting center in the Polo Stadium. They're waiting, and they're waiting to start the celebrations. We have already seen flags being brought out by the BJP as well as the NPP, but since the counting is going on, there is still lack of clarity as to which party, which candidate is winning in terms of the leads are concerned. So they are still waiting here.
Okay, so quick response from Mr. Nilanjan Das, since you were keen to get the numbers. 0 in Tripura and 5 leads in Meghalaya so far. Sir, your reaction. Which state are you going to make the government in?
Agree to this number because my sources are telling me that the Trinamool Congress is leading in at least more than 10 seats. So that's the number that I have.
More than 10 seats? Did you say 10 or 20?
Yes. More than 10, I said.
I'm sorry. So you're saying you're going to form the government in Meghalaya leading in 10 seats out of 60?
I did not say anything. I said that this is the current number that I am privy to. So maybe the numbers can change and maybe it can go up even more.
Sure,
so
of course.
That's not the question. But the question is that the Trinamool Congress is, it's expanding to northeastern states. So that is the key takeaway that I am concerned about.
Okay.
So even in
is it really?
I'm hopeful that we will get something.
Is it really? We will ask that question to Mr. GBL Narasimha Rao. Give you a little bit of data as well. When there is talk about expansion, exactly what states are. So don't worry, we will show you the data. I promised you we will come back with the data on Tripura and Meghalaya. Now we will also show you data about the expansion, but it will be on the other side of a very quick break. I really have to take a 2-minute break, but we'll be back on the other side. The picture is becoming quite clear. Tripura promises to be an interesting fight. Nagaland is almost a given. Meghalaya is telling us a story. And all of these three put together is giving us a big message. All of that on the other side.
Where everybody was stuck at home. सब घर पे बैठ के ऑर्डर कर रहे थे, नेटफ्लिक्स पे कंटेंट देख रहे थे और सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे ज्यादा टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे थे. तो नेचुरली बिजनेसेस ने वहां स्पेंड करना शुरू कर दिया जहां ग्रोथ दिखी. लाइक मेटा ओवरस्पेंट ऑन मेटावर्स, AR, VR टेक्नोलॉजीज टू द ट्यून ऑफ, कुछ रिपोर्ट्स बोल रही हैं, अराउंड $36 बिलियन. एंड बाय द वे मेटावर्स कोई 1-1.5 साल में तो सेटअप नहीं होने वाला है. सो ओवर ऑप्टिमिज्म दैट दिस डिजिटल बूम विल फॉरएवर स्टे. इसकी वजह से इन्वेस्टर्स भी पैसा डालते गए, हायरिंग्स और स्पेंड्स बढ़ते गए. पर जैसे ही कोविड रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लिफ्ट हुए तब आया स्टोरी में ट्विस्ट. नाउ ये डिमांड जो है डिजिटल इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए, डिजिटल गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज के लिए, ये सस्टेन नहीं रही. बिकॉज ऑफिस जाना है तो कितना फेसबुक यूज करोगे, कितना नेटफ्लिक्स देखोगे. एंगेजमेंट इन सारे प्लेटफॉर्म से गिर गई एंड ग्रोथ सस्टेन नहीं हुई. जूम फॉर इंस्टेंस, द वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग कंपनी, उसके शेयर्स अभी 90% डाउन है. नंबर 2, दूसरा रीजन है ग्लोबल इन्फ्लेशन एंड मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक ट्रेंड्स. नाउ जब ग्रोथ गिर गई तो उसके बाद आया इन्वेस्टर्स का प्रेशर टू फिक्स वैल्यूएशंस. ऊपर से रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर ने इन्फ्लेशन, इंटरेस्ट रेट सबको बढ़ा दिया, व्हिच इज पुट प्रेशर ऑन द ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी. डिपिंग रेवेन्यू. इसके बाद क्या हुआ, एडवर्टाइजर्स ने भी लेस स्पेंडिंग करना शुरू कर दिया और ओवरऑल रेवेन्यूज जो थे इन डिजिटल कंपनीज के वो गिरने शुरू हो गए. फेसबुक का रेवेन्यू वाज डाउन 52% इन Q3 ऑफ दिस ईयर. गूगल टू रिपोर्टेड द स्लोएस्ट ग्रोथ इन 10 years. सो नाउ दीज कंपनीज आर टाइटनिंग देयर बेल्ट and, in their words, becoming more streamlined and hence slashing jobs. In fact, many companies like Meta, amongst others, are now reducing real estate and enabling desk sharing. Snapchat is letting go of its offices in San Francisco. So, tightening their belt to save costs and hence firing more people. और जो US में होता है उसका असर पूरे वर्ल्ड में तो आता है. And that's why Firings have also been seen in India. Job cuts यहाँ पे भी हो रहे हैं. But basic problem जो है overall इसकी ये है कि tech as an industry has matured. ये starting के extreme funding और growth के phase में नहीं है. अब issue है innovation का. So ये reconfiguration का time है, reset का time है. तो pressure obviously रहेगा sustained profitability के ऊपर. But does this mean कि the golden run of tech is over forever? Well, for now it is, but not for too long. I'll tell you why. 1-2 साल के बाद सब वापस आएंगे जॉब्स देने के लिए. अभी जस्टिफाई करना है कंपनीज को, इन्वेस्टर्स को फायरिंग करके कॉस्ट कटिंग से. बट ये ज्यादा टाइम तक नहीं चल सकता बिकॉज बिजनेसेस को प्रॉफिटेबल बनाने के लिए बाकी चीजों पे जैसे प्रोडक्ट स्ट्रैटेजी पे भी ध्यान देना होगा, जिसके लिए वर्कफोर्स बढ़ानी पड़ेगी. नंबर 2, टेक इज द फ्यूचर. देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट दैट. सो कंपनीज विल नीड टू इन्वेस्ट इन न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज, जिसके लिए अगेन दे नीड टू रीहायर. एंड नंबर 3, इंडिया यहाँ पे बेटर प्लेस्ड है. वाई? बिकॉज टेक कंपनीज यूएस में एम्प्लॉयज को हाई सैलरीज देती है टू द ट्यून ऑफ $200,000 और वहां पे मोस्टली इंडियंस काम करते हैं. और वहां पे और भी एक्सपेंसेस हैं फॉर कंपनीज लाइक इंश्योरेंस, पर्क्स. ऊपर से बे एरिया इज वन ऑफ द कॉस्टलीस्ट एरियाज. तो उसकी जगह अगर काम इंडिया में आउटसोर्स कर देंगे तो उनके लिए भी कॉस्ट कम होगी. सो बिग टेक बिग तो बहुत हो गया है, बट अब चैलेंज होगा उसके पास ग्रोथ वर्सेस प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी के ऊपर फोकस रखना. एंड गाइस, दीज फायरिंग्स कैन बी कंसिडर्ड जस्ट अ ब्लिप, बट ओवरऑल कोर्स जो है वो काफी लंबा होगा बिकॉज रिमेंबर टेक इज द फ्यूचर. सो लेट मी नो व्हाट यू थिंक ऑफ दिस स्टोरी. फॉर एवरीथिंग ऑन टेक, कीप फॉलोइंग गैजेट टाइम्स पावर्ड बाय टाइम्स नाउ.
हेलो एवरीवन, स्वागत है आप सभी का टाइम्स ड्राइव के इस वीडियो में. मैं हूं अंकुर तनेजा और मेरे बगल में खड़ी है शकोडा कुशाक का एनिवर्सरी एडिशन. टाइगुन के एनिवर्सरी एडिशन के बाद अब कुशाक का भी एनिवर्सरी एडिशन आ गया है. चेंजेस क्या हैं उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं इस वीडियो में. तो सबसे पहला जो चेंज फ्रंट में देखने को मिलेगा, इसमें ग्रिल में क्रोम का एलिमेंट यहां पर ऐड करा गया है. तो ये एक नया एलिमेंट यहां पर इस कुशाक के एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में देखने को मिल रहा है. फ्रंट में इसके अलावा हेडलाइट्स, बम्पर का डिज़ाइन सब कुछ पहले जैसा है, कोई बदलाव वहाँ पर देखने को नहीं मिल रहा है. देन साइड में आए तो यहाँ पर भी कॉस्मेटिक बदलाव हुए हैं, जैसे कि ये डोर में यहाँ वाइजर दिया गया है, इधर ये डोर प्रोटेक्टर्स दिए गए हैं, नीचे भी इधर क्रोम का एलिमेंट यहाँ पर इसमें इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में ऐड करा गया है. एंड पीछे की तरफ आएँ तो यहाँ पर ये एनिवर्सरी एडिशन के डीकैल्स इधर इस सी पिलर में यहाँ पे कुशाक के इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में देखने को मिल रहे हैं. सो एक्सटीरियर की बात करें तो चेंजेस इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्सटीरियर ये कुछ यहाँ पर करे गए हैं. इंटीरियर की बात करें तो वहाँ पर जो चेंज हुआ है, तो पहला चेंज हुआ है स्टीयरिंग जो है इसका, वहाँ पर इसमें एनिवर्सरी एडिशन की बैजिंग दी गई है, तो वो एक बदलाव इसमें.
Welcome back. You're watching Results Day Live. It's Mandate 2023 here on Times Now, your election news headquarters. And these are the big numbers that we have at present. Tripura is quite close as earlier was anticipated. It is not so comfortable for the BJP. Out of the 60 leads that we have so far, 26 for BJP and its alliance, IPFT, making major losses there. Tripura Motha is at 13. Others are at 8. And the Congress Plus, that is the Congress and CPM, is at 13. That is the number for Tripura. Let's take a look at Meghalaya and Nagaland next. Nagaland is quite comfortable. Meghalaya is also important, where the NPP is at 21, the BJP is at 7, and others are at 28. The Congress is at 4. These are the numbers for Meghalaya. And finally, let's take a look at the numbers that we have for Nagaland, where the BJP is seeming quite comfortable along with the NDPP. So these are the big numbers. Let me go straight across to Patricia Mukim, editor of the Shillong Times, joining us now. A lot is being said about the BJP's increasing footprint in these 3 states. Would you concur?
Yeah, we have to accept that that they have made consistent progress, and they have their workers here, the RSS workers who've been working for a long time. So there is maybe a sort of change of mind, because even the churches don't seem to be too worried about the BJP's presence in the Northeast. The Meghalaya and Nagaland call themselves Christian states, but I mean, they have been meeting church leaders, BJP leaders have been meeting church leaders, assuring them that there's not going to be any kind of oppression on the Christian majorities here. So also this beef ban and things like that have not happened in these past 5 years. So what you don't see then doesn't make any sense. So in a sense also that, as I have been saying in other channels, the people of the Northeast all have to traverse through Guwahati, Assam, and they see a lot of infrastructure investment there. And so they perhaps also imagine that if they give a chance to the BJP to come into their states in a bigger way, maybe they will also have a chance at development, because these are states that have been lagging behind. Meghalaya is very poor at 32.7% of its population in the BPL category. Most of the roads are not connected. Water supply is not, not as claimed that it has made a lot of inroads. And some villages in Garo Hills have not had power for 50 years. So you can imagine the development backlog. And perhaps there's a sense that BJP coming in might speed up development.
Okay, so big message there from these elections. When you have the BJP and the Prime Minister talking about New India, it's not just election rhetoric. You've got a conventional narrative, especially in the Northeast, as all the states clubbed together are referred to. And now you've got a new narrative saying, listen, forget about these divides and the tyranny of distance. If there is one common thread that can unite the country, it is that of development, of beneficiaries. And the classic divide of Christian states, tribal states, Northeast culture being different, that should be overridden. And these results could well send out that message. Taking another very quick break, Patricia Mukim, please stay with us. We'll come back with the big takeaways and the analysis, the future of Tripura and Meghalaya, and how this is giving us a message for the other elections to follow. Back in a minute.
देखने को मिलेगा एंड इसमें जो है स्क्रीन जो है 10 इंच का दिया गया है, जबकि नॉर्मल पोशाक में 8 इंच का स्क्रीन देखने को मिलता है। मॉन्टी कार्लो जो एडिशन है उसमें भी 10 इंच का है, अब इसमें भी 10 इंच का स्क्रीन देखने को मिलता है। देन पिलोज जो है इसमें ये पिलोज दिए गए हैं फ्रंट पैसेंजर और रियर पैसेंजर्स के लिए, एंड जो इसके मैट हैं वो भी अब 3D मैट इसमें अब पोशाक में एनिवर्सरी एडिशन में स्कोडा के साथ दे रही है। एंड फाइनल चेंज जो हुआ है वो है इसका ये की कवर जो देख रहे हैं, ये लेदर टाइप ये कवर इसमें दिया गया है की के साथ, जो इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन के साथ स्कोडा इसमें दे रही है। बात करूं ऑप्शंस की, इंजन ऑप्शंस की, तो 1 लीटर और 1.5 लीटर दोनों में ही अवेलेबल होने वाली है। टॉप वेरिएंट्स में मैनुअल और ऑटोमेटिक दोनों में ये ऑप्शन एनिवर्सरी एडिशन का स्कोडा दे रही है। प्राइस की बात करें तकरीबन 30,000 प्राइस नॉर्मल कुशाक के मुकाबले इस एनिवर्सरी एडिशन का बदल गया है। 30,000 आपको एक्स्ट्रा नॉर्मल कुशाक के मुकाबले इसके लिए पे करने पड़ेंगे। तो ये हैं कुछ बदलाव इस स्कोडा कुशाक एनिवर्सरी एडिशन को लेकर। कैसे लगे आपको, चेंजेस रिक्वायर्ड थे या नहीं थे, कमेंट सेक्शन में बताइएगा। वीडियो अच्छा लगा है तो लाइक, शेयर और टाइम्स ड्राइव को फॉलो करना मत भूलिएगा।
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टाइम्स ड्राइव। मैं अंकुर तनेजा और मैं मौजूद हूँ टोयोटा की नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस के अनवेल इवेंट पर। तो टोयोटा की फाइनली ये हाई क्रॉस देखने को मिल रही है, जो कि हाइब्रिड अवतार में टोयोटा लेकर आई है। इनोवा का ही हाइब्रिड अवतार कह सकते हैं। बहुत से बदलाव लेकिन क्रिस्टा के मुकाबले इस नई इनोवा हाई क्रॉस में देखने को मिलते हैं। तो क्या है वो चेंजेस इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन, इन टर्म्स ऑफ फीचर्स एंड ऑल्सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंजन ऑप्शंस, उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूँ इस वीडियो में। सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन बात करें तो सबसे पहले यहाँ पे एक नया बड़ा ग्रिल जो
I really liked how they have written 67, 20 अब ज्यादातर फोन पे आपको दिखाई देगा। इसके अलावा दिस डिस्प्ले इज प्रोटेक्टेड विद कॉर्निंग गोरिल्ला ग्लास 5, तो आपको इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि डिस्प्ले को कुछ हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। द फोन इज ऑल्सो ऑफरिंग IP53 रेटिंग टू प्रिवेंट ऑल दी डस्ट एज वेल एज वाटर स्प्लैशेस। यहाँ पर और जैसे कि डिस्प्ले पे आपको दिख रहा होगा, बेजल्स आर प्रिटी थिन। इनफैक्ट यहाँ पर चारों साइड पे मुझे सेम बेजल्स दिखाई दे रहे हैं, मतलब मेजरमेंट उनका, और थिन भी लग रहा है। यहाँ पे वाइट बैकग्राउंड पे देखेंगे तो आई थिंक इसका जो व्यूइंग एक्सपीरियंस है दैट शुड ऐड टू इट बिकॉज ऑफ द थिन बेजल्स। और सामने आपको यहाँ पर दिख रहा होगा पंच होल कैमरा। दिस इज अ 16 मेगापिक्सल फ्रंट शूटर टू क्लिक ऑल द वाइब्रेंट सेल्फीज एज वेल एज मेक वीडियो ब्लॉग्स। कैमरास की यहाँ पे बात की है तो एक बार आपको पीछे वाले कैमरास के बारे में भी बता देते हैं। रेक्टेंगुलर कैमरा मॉड्यूल आपको यहाँ दिखाई देगा। इसको कॉम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए थोड़ा सा ब्लैक पैच यहाँ पे स्ट्रेच किया गया है। नाउ दिस कैमरा मॉड्यूल houses 3 cameras in total. The main camera is a 108 megapixel shooter. उसी के साथ आपको मिलता है अल्ट्रा वाइड लेंस एज वेल एज मैक्रो लेंस फॉर ऑल द मैक्रो फोटोग्राफर लवर्स। अब बात करते हैं थोड़ी सी डिजाइन की। रेयर पैनल के बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं। फ्रेम की बात करें तो राइट साइड पे
Welcome back. It's 10:30 and now the picture is more or less clear. Quick look at where the 3 states stand. Jay, over to you.
Yeah. Now let's start with Tripura. Okay, we are heading towards a nail-biting finish. Okay, the BJP's ally, the IPFT, is the one which has majorly balked. It's gone down in its performance, and therefore it is the Tripura Motha. These numbers are fluctuating, by the way. It's fluctuating like 16-15, 16-14. The most stable number we know for the last half an hour, 1 hour in Tripura is that the BJP is around 30 and so are these other two parties put together. And the second headline, the major loss for the BJP being because of the ally IPFT. That's the point in Tripura. In Nagaland, very clearly the BJP plus is ahead. It's very interesting. In the others in Nagaland, you know, because the Congress and the NPF were hardly contesting as many seats, a lot of the friendly parties of the BJP, like the RPI, the LJP, they have put up candidates and some of them seem to be winning. So again, they are like more or less an addition to the BJP stack over there. In Meghalaya, as expected, what we are saying since the morning, give and take a couple of numbers, it is the NPP and the BJP which put together is at the halfway mark, fluctuating above it, not below it. So they're also more or less a decisive turn. The black box here, the others are what we are trying to decipher. We are getting the details. The Trinamool seems to have a major consolation within this black box.
And in that black box, just about 5 out of that 25, 5 to 7 leads is what is there for the Trinamool Congress. BJP growing in Meghalaya, holding steady in Tripura, going down just a bit. Alliance partner letting it down. Tripura Motha, quite a gainer. Congress plus left. This breakup will be interesting to see where the Congress's bargaining power will be vis-a-vis their other alliances.
Absolutely.
Remember, in all of your alliances, barring maybe the DMK in Tamil Nadu, where also it was Stalin who held the cards and said, I will tell you which seats you will fight, not the other way.
And the fact that you can just have a nominally respectable 25 seats.
Exactly. Like, don't dictate terms to me. We all know kaun kitne pani mein hai. So that is why perhaps that alliance worked.
Absolutely.
If the Congress has actually pulled the CPM down over here, every other alliance partner 2024 will be like, excuse me, you are not in the position to dictate terms. We will tell you who will lead this alliance.
And there are early straws in the wind. Just a little while ago, the CPM was trailing in Dhanpur, Mr. Manik Sarkar's seat. So whether the alliance has actually added complete synergy, we do not know.
So let's take a look, since we are talking about these straws in the wind. What are the big stories so far from these numbers and the takeaways? NDA has consolidated its footprint in the northeast.
Absolutely.
This will be a message they'll take to the rest of the country that listen, don't bracket us as some Hindutva nationalist northeast northern party. We have a footprint everywhere. In Meghalaya,
you know, the story associated with that It is the Congress which now doesn't exist there, more or less. It's the BJP has taken that pan-national party status.
Exactly. So for everyone who says, oh, BJP is a Hindu heartland cowbelt party,
absolutely,
it is now
and
actually
now it's
the Congress which is cowbelt.
The shoe is on the other foot now. Now that applies to the Congress.
You are Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Himachal.
Yeah.
So are you just the, the cowbelt marginal party?
Absolutely.
Meghalaya, NPP, best placed to form the government. The other thing that we have seen in Meghalaya is that the BJP has also increased its footprint. The Congress is relegated to the fringes in the northeast, like we just mentioned, and it is going to inform the position that they are in the rest of the country. Rebels break the Congress's back in the northeast, and that's a familiar. It started right from Himanta Biswa Sarma, and I think it is that kind of lagan that the Congress is still paying of letting Himanta go, and that famous
incident of the
story of
puppy
Piddi, that famous Piddi story. Credibility crisis for the Congress in Tripura as well. And the third front, big endorsement of the Prime Minister's tribal outreach without a doubt, and other parties like the TMC not managing to make much of a dent. The Tripura Motha being a bit of an outlier there. Vindication for BJP's Sabka Saath mantra. Let me go across to our guests. Patricia Mukim, editor of the Shillong Times, Jivel Narasimha Rao, MP and national spokesperson of BJP, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Nilanjan Das, political analyst. Patricia Mukim, would you agree with this analysis that the Congress is now a fringe player at best? As a national party, BJP has consolidated, and then of course there are the so-called regional parties which end up being the kingmaker.
See, the Congress we have to blame the organizational capacity of the Congress, which has been weak since 2014 and has not picked up at all. The BJP, on the other hand, has been very consistent in its push for development in the Northeast. However, the only cause of concern that the tribes have about the BJP being the lead player in the region is that it may impose the Uniform Civil Code once it gets its hands very strong, and also the Citizen Amendment Act. I think these two are the red flags for the people of the Northeast. I don't know how the BJP looks at this, but these are tribal states, small states that are very possessive about their cultures, about their diversities. There are about 300 plus tribal groups in the region with all their cultures, their languages. So a uniform civil code is certainly not something that they would want.
Let's get the answer
BJP.
right away from Jivel Narasimha Rao. These are traditional concerns and anxieties. So far, you have not notified the CAA. But till when will you ignore the elephant in the room, Mr. Jivel Narasimha Rao? Uniform Civil Code and CAA are these elephants.
You see, even before Assam went to polls last year, similar issues, similar concerns were expressed, and people of Assam have spoken. They have faith in the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, and they have faith in the BJP's governance agenda. I think a lot of people and a lot of parties have tried to invoke fears in some certain sections of population to show the fear of BJP and politically profit from it. The Congress has gained from this in the past. But when people have seen the real agenda of the BJP, they have, you know what they have confined the Congress party to? States which remained Congress strongholds in the Northeast. Today the Congress is decimated in all the three states, and they had to align with the left front in Tripura to survive in Tripura in politics. So people are not really. Well, journalists may continue to have these apprehensions. People have faith in the leadership of Prime Minister Modi ji. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas.
Patricia Mukim, you're smiling.
That's not just a political message.
Smiling because, we been able
to convince people that even today's results are a vindication of that.
Okay, Patricia Mukim.
So in a state which is entirely Christian, where our numbers have increased 3-4 times.
Came to Meghalaya, he said that everyone born in Bharat is a Hindu. And he sort of concluded that this whole region is also part of Bharat. So this is what we said. We said when we signed the instrument of accession with India, we signed it with India. We didn't know Bharat at that time. So these are contentious issues that need to be sorted out by the BJP, because when you say sabke saath, sabke vikas, it doesn't mean that you homogenize everyone into one religion, one culture, one language. This is the problem with the BJP
but
in the Northeast.
You think there is a homogenization or an attempt, because the local leadership is very clear about the traditions and the culture of the Northeast being absolutely sacrosanct? Ms. Mukhi.
We don't know that for sure, because we haven't had the BJP leading any state except Assam and Manipur. In Assam, we're seeing signs of, that are not very healthy. We don't want those same kind of intrusions into these hill states.
All right. So, so far there has been attempts at confidence building, but there is always a little bit of anxiety. What if? Remember, there is the example of revocation of Article 370 that happened in Kashmir. So people in the Northeast, and there's always this traditional, memory or narrative that what if tomorrow there is a uniform civil code? What if there is a homogenization? What if there is an imposition? Will the message, the larger message of development, obliterate all of these what ifs and the traditional narrative of Northeast versus the rest of the country, or the tyranny of distance? Now when we're talking about the tribal seats, since these tribal anxieties are being spoken of, let's take the example of Meghalaya for one. I think that's an important and interesting state to start with. This what if, has it reflected, these anxieties reflected in the results, Jay?
No, I think the results present a pretty much pragmatic electorate. It said, okay, if there is a party that has a vision, that has a certain stated agenda, an agenda of work or development, that is candidate focused, is focused on regional issues, okay, we'll pick up the party and we'll go with it, right? So Congress goes to BJP, you come here, again goes to BJP, the NPP goes to BJP, you come up here again, the NPP incumbent, the seat goes to BJP. And look at this, all of them are Christians, barring one or two, all of them are Christians.
This is very interesting, because Tura is actually the stronghold of Conrad Sangma himself and his family. And if in North Tura, which one assumes is a tribal seat, it's going from the NPP to the BJP. This other seat also going from the NPP, Dalu, going from NPP to the BJP. What do you make of that, Patricia Mukhi? We're talking about tribals not being very comfortable with the Bharatiya Janata Party, and yet at least 2 seats where the BJP has taken a lead, and it is taking this seat from the NPP, a traditional tribal party. Patricia Mukhi.
See, there's been a lot of heartburn against the NPP in Garo Hills because development has not happened there at all. And as I said earlier, there are villages in Garo Hills which have not had electricity for the past 50 years, and yet their homes were fitted with smart meters and they even generated a bill. So there is a lot of anger against the NPP, against Conrad Sangma. And we have to remember that the BJP also, were very, very sort of vehement in their campaign when they called Meghalaya the most corrupt state in the country. And Amit Shah said that as Home Minister, he said that in Tura, in Garo Hills.
Since we're talking about Tura, before you come in, Jay, let me play out images of Conrad Sangma. He is actually paying respect to his late father. Seems quite comfortable in the lead right now. He's at 22. He seems set quite comfortably. More or less a coalition government like earlier is going to work out. And also remember, when we're talking about the stronghold, this is the place where Agatha Sangma, that just shows you the heft of this family. Agatha Sangma had defeated Mukul Sangma here, right? In the Lok Sabha election. So you are very comfortable with this area as the stronghold, and yet in Tura, the BJP manages to make an inroad, explains why Conrad Sangma is a little edgy about what the BJP is doing to him.
Absolutely. Not only that, to just put a counter to Patricia again. thing is, yes, you said there was angst against the NPP in the Garo Hills, there was anti-incumbency. But the deeper point is that it is a party like the BJP, which is called anti-Northeast, that is reaping the benefits of that anti-incumbency. It should have not been the natural beneficiary of that anti-incumbency. So that's the point. It's sort of got a well-entrenched space for itself and a recognition by the electorate.
Okay. Patricia, would you like to respond to that? And is this really about people trusting them or smart election management? Patricia Mukim, then I'll take a response from Mr. Rao also. Yes.
See, I think, the point in Meghalaya or every other tribal state is that we do not vote parties. That's very important to understand. We vote personalities, we vote faces. We've never really understood ideology. So this also, and then, candidates go to the villages and say they're going to bring development. That is the only thing that people are looking for.
Okay.
They have seen the NPP not being able to do that. So probably they've shifted loyalties. They've seen the Congress for many years. And the TMC, of course, is a big player in the Garo Hills. People are yet to judge the TMC. They've seen how the BJP performs. So perhaps that is what is changing their...
Quick word, Mr. Rao. Would there be any reassurance to your alliance partner, your erstwhile and possibly your future alliance partner, Conrad Sangma? You seem to be eating into his party more than anything else.
No, I think we are, whatever votes we get is the support we get from the people. We are not snatching or grabbing anybody's votes. And there is nobody's vote here. It's all people of Meghalaya who have voted, and substantial increase in the BJP vote share and numbers vindicate the BJP's efforts and BJP's emergence as a popular party. I won't agree. You see, while if people are unhappy, they have any number of options to choose from.
Okay.
It's not like a situation in some states in India which are a two-party elections. Which is these states, all these northeastern states have a multi-party democracy, and if people are not happy with one, they have an option to choose the other.
Okay.
The fact that they have reposed faith in the BJP, increased our numbers, is a vindication of increasing popularity. However, grudgingly, people will have to accept it.
Sure,
and this is happening
increasing
across
popularity,
the region,
but ultimately in states where you only have 60 seats, it also boils down to at whose cost your footprint increases, who shrinks, and what that means for them in the future. That's also something they'll be thinking of. I'm taking a very quick break at this point. On the other side, so I'll have to take a very quick break. I will come back to you on the other side, but I will also tell you about the important seats in these three states. We've talked about the parties overall, Jay, but it's also the personalities. Patricia Mukim said we vote for personalities. How have the personalities fared and why? That story in 2 minutes.
We're going to look $110mm एक्स्ट्रा, लंबा व्हील बेस, सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा जगह। यह है कहानी BMW 3GL की। नमस्ते टाइम्स ड्राइव फैमिली, आई एम क्रांति संभव। वेलकम टू द फर्स्ट ड्राइव रिव्यू ऑफ BMW 3 सीरीज GL यानी ग्रैंड लिमोजीन, जो ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर 3 सीरीज से ज्यादा लंबी है व्हील बेस के हिसाब से। कुछ एक चेंजेस इसमें हुए हैं, तो इस वजह से ये हम वीडियो कर रहे हैं उन चेंजेस के बारे में बताने के लिए, और ये भी जानने के लिए कि जो दावा है कंपनी का सेकेंड रो में ज्यादा आराम का, ज्यादा स्पेस का, वो दावा पूरा हो पा रहा है या नहीं। सो बिफोर आई स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस कार, सबसे पहले टाइम्स ड्राइव के बारे में आपसे बात करता हूं या अपील करता हूं। अभी तक अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल को, और सोशल मीडिया पर बाकी जो भी हैंडल्स हैं वहां पर टाइम्स ड्राइव के नाम से आप सर्च करें, उसे भी फॉलो करें। लेटेस्ट खबरें आपको मिलेंगी, और timesdrive.in है हमारा वेबसाइट, वहां पर तो लेटेस्ट खबरों के अलावा डिस्काउंट्स और जो स्पाई पिक्स हैं, आने वाली गाड़ियां हैं, उन सब के बारे में खबरें मिलेंगी। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस स्टोरी। हम बात करते हैं BMW 3GL की। क्रांति संभव रिपोर्टिंग फ्रॉम द सेकंड रो ऑफ BMW 3GL। आमतौर पर ये वाला हिस्सा स्टोरी में बाद में आता है, लेकिन जब यूएसपी यही है तो फिर व्हाई नॉट स्टार्ट द स्टोरी विद दिस। और यहाँ पे सबसे पहली चीज जो मैं देख पा रहा हूँ उसमें कुछ बताने की जरूरत भी नहीं है। आई एम 6'3", बावजूद इसके लेग रूम नी रूम आप देख सकते हैं कितनी ज्यादा मुझे यहाँ पर मिल रही है, यानी बहुत ज्यादा आरामदेह। आपको ये एक्स्ट्रा जो व्हील बेस है, एक्स्ट्रा जो इसका लेंथ है वो आपको सेकेंड रो में देने वाला है, काफी ज्यादा एक्स्ट्रा आराम स्पेस के हिसाब से। और दूसरी चीज जो मुझे खास लग रही है, थाई सपोर्ट काफी आगे तक है, इसका बेंच जो है काफी ब्रॉड है, तो वहां पे आप लंबी दूरी पर काफी आरामदेह तरीके से जा सकते हैं। एवरेज इंडियन हाइट के लिए तो ये जगह काफी है, लेकिन ये जगह एडिक्वेट होगी क्योंकि मेरी हाइट के लिए अगर मैं कहूँ तो यहाँ पर अगर मैं थोड़ा सा अपराइट बैठूं तो यहाँ पर ये मेरा सर टच कर रहा है, बट अगेन आई एम नॉट एवरेज इंडियन हाइट, थोड़ा सा मैं ज्यादा लंबा हूं। तो ओवरऑल स्पेशियस कंफर्टेबल मुझे लग रही है 2 लोगों के लिए खास तौर पर, और वैसे 3 लोगों की भी जगह है, लेकिन यहाँ पर ये जो हिस्सा है बैकरेस्ट, वहां पर आपको आर्मरेस्ट मिलेगा, यहाँ पर फोन वगैरह या टैबलेट वगैरह रखने की जगह है, और प्लस 2 कप होल्डर्स आपको यहाँ पर, या बॉटल होल्डर्स आई गेस कप होल्डर्स, वो आपको देखने को यहाँ मिल रहे हैं। ओवरऑल जो फील है वो काफी सॉलिड है, जो फिनिश है काफी प्रीमियम है, जो क्वालिटी है वो काफी प्रीमियम आपको देखने को मिल रहा है। और यहाँ पर एसी वेंट अगर हम देखें तो यहाँ 3 जोन क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल आप समझ सकते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पर अलग से आप अपने पैसेंजर सीट के लिए, रेयर सीट के लिए अलग टेम्परेचर जोन आप यहाँ सेट कर सकते हैं, वो कंट्रोल दिया गया है। साथ में 2 सी टाइप के पोर्ट्स भी आपको देखने को मिल रहे हैं। सो फीचर के हिसाब से, आराम के हिसाब से, स्पेस के हिसाब से सेकेंड रो is very practical, and I think this is the USP of this car. Gandhi Samo reporting from the first row of or driver seat of BMW 3GL। और यहाँ सबसे पहली चीज जिसके बारे में बात करना चाहूंगा वो है ये पूरा स्क्रीन का सेटअप। जो शेप है उसका हल्का सा कर्व्ड आपको ड्राइवर साइड की तरफ, या ड्राइवर सेंट्रिक थोड़ा सा ये ज्यादा लग रहा है, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं, बट या यू फील कि हाँ आपकी तरफ ये मुड़ा हुआ है। सो ये कर्व इसकी बनावट है। यहाँ पर एक स्क्रीन है जो पूरी तरह से डिजिटल इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन आपको नजर आएगा। दिस इज 12.3 इंचेस। और यहाँ पर दूसरा जो स्क्रीन है 14.9 इंच का, यहाँ मोर और लेस इस सेंटर पैनल में जो बटन्स आपको देखने को मिल रहे थे, आमतौर पर जो दिखते हैं वो सारे बटन्स यहाँ से लगभग नदारद हो गए, जो बहुत ही बेसिक फंक्शंस हैं, चाहे वो एसी के स्पीड का हो या फिर वॉल्यूम कंट्रोल का हो, ट्रैक को आगे पीछे करने का हो, वो आप यहाँ बटन देख रहे हैं। अदरवाइज मोर और लेस सारे कंट्रोल्स मुझे यहाँ नजर आ रहे हैं। थोड़ा वक्त लगेगा इसके टच स्क्रीन के बिहेवियर को आपको समझने में या आदत लगाने में। यहाँ पर आपको वायरलेस एप्पल कार पे एंड्रॉयड ऑटो भी मिल रहा है, प्लस ये सारे ऐप्स यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं, इससे आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। एक और चीज़ जो इसमें एडिशन हुई है वो आपको बताएं। जैसे एक बार आपको याद होगा, बहुत पहले मैंने BMW में जब पहली बार वॉइस कमांड्स आए थे, तब मैंने जब कमांड दिया था, हे BMW प्लीज ओपन ड्राइवर साइड विंडो, तो ये विंडो अब तो खोल रही है, लेकिन पिछली बार इसने मना कर दिया था कि भाई इतना काम तो तुम खुद कर लो, बाकी सारे कमांड्स तो मैं मान ही रही हूं, लेकिन अब
Welcome back. There's big news coming in. The Supreme Court has decided to constitute a 5-member committee in the Adani matter. That's the latest that we are hearing. It is a 5-member committee. It is going to be headed by former Supreme Court Judge Justice A.M. Sapre. What is going to be the mandate of this committee? Let's go across to Aishwarya joining us live now. What is going to be the ambit within which this committee is going to function, and when is the report expected, Aishwarya?
Audio.
ठीक है, बोलो. आ रहा है तुम्हारा सब कुछ. Aishwarya, can you hear me? All right. The committee is directed to submit its report within 2 months in a sealed cover. The Supreme Court has also allowed the continuance of the SEBI probe into Hindenburg report-led meltdown of Adani Group shares, and said that it will be supervised by a Supreme Court appointed 5-member panel. Who all are in the panel? It's Justice J.P. Devdhar, K.V. Kamath, Nandan Nilekani, Somashekar Sundaresan, and O.P. Bhatt. So here is the big news point, that SEBI is going to continue with its probe, and the supervisory role has been given to a 5-member committee which has been formed by the Supreme Court. It's important to remember that earlier the center had given recommendations of names for this committee in a sealed cover. The Supreme Court said two things. One, we don't want anything in a sealed cover because we want there to be complete transparency so that there is no crisis of confidence. Second, they said we don't need your recommendation only. We are going to decide on our own who is going to be a member of this panel. And now a 5-member panel has been constituted. I believe Aishwarya is through with us now. We are also expecting Harish. All right, let's go across to Harish. Harish, yes, give us all the details. What's the mandate?
Yes, in fact, the Supreme Court has formed a 5-member committee, including experts from the field of share and security and international banking and also SEBI. And that 5-member committee will be headed by former retired Supreme Court Judge A.M. Sapre. And the committee has been directed to submit its reports within 2 months in a sealed cover. So Supreme Court has allowed continuance of the SEBI probe into the Hindenburg report led meltdown of the Adani Group shares and said it will be supervised by this committee. And the mandate is, the Supreme Court said that it appears that SEBI is seized into the investigation into the allegations that have made against the Adani Group of company. SEBI shall also investigate into whether there has been violation of Section 19A, whether there was any manipulation of stock prices. SEBI shall conclude the investigation within 2 months and apprise the court. The constitution of the expert committee does not divulge the SEBI's role into the investigation. And remember, Padmaja, on the last date of hearing, Supreme Court had said that for the time being it will not go into the demands of a criminal probe, but for the time being the interest of the investors is supreme. Therefore, we would like to the committee to review, improve and strengthen the regulatory mechanism and also ensure that investors' hard-earned money does not get lost in such market volatilities, and that should be prevented. So
this is big news. Within 2 months, the probe report has to be submitted. SEBI is going to continue with its investigation into whether there was any manipulation, and all of this will be done under the supervision of a 5-member committee which has been formed independent of government recommendations by the Supreme Court. Hopefully that should address a lot of concerns that have been raised in the recent past. Taking another very quick break. On the other side, we are going to come back with the very latest from Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland, the bypolls happening in other parts of the country, and the celebrations that have already started, and the story within. See you then.
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं Mohul, who's founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. But उसके अलावा कुछ और चीज़ें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं. So इस बाइक को लेकर थोड़ा टाइमलाइन, इफ यू कैन एक्सप्लेन किस तरह का टाइमलाइन रहने वाला है एंड कब इसका ऑफिशियली लॉन्च आप करने वाले हैं?
Definitely. So first thing is at the Auto Expo we have also showcased the 6 kilowatt version of the bike. So at launch we had a 5 kilowatt version. Now we also have a 6 kilowatt version of the bike. And in terms of timeline, in the next 30 days we will be giving out the spec variants and pricing to the larger market. We will be opening up bookings for the Matter motorbike this quarter, and deliveries summer में शुरू हो जाने वाली है.
So एक चीज़ जो बहुत ही टेक्नोलॉजी का हूँ इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बाइक के बारे में, इसमें गियर है. इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक होने के साथ साथ इसमें वो आइस वाला आपने एसेंस और बहुत बड़ा एसेंस इसमें बचा के रखा है. सो वो कैसे आपने उस पर काम किया एंड हाउ डिड यू थॉट अबाउट दिस कि ये अगर हम इसमें इंक्लूड कर पाते हैं गियर शिफ्ट वाला पैटर्न, सो वो कैसे स्टार्ट हुआ?
So when we in 2019 when we were starting out, we spoke to a lot of consumers कि electric bike क्यों नहीं खरीदते. In 2019 there were only a handful of players who were giving motorcycles as a product, and what we realized is that motorcycling is emotion driven. You name your bike, you work with it, you control it, you become one with your bike. And from there, the common theme came, control नहीं मिल रहा, feel नहीं आ रही. And obviously, once we started translating कि हमें क्या सुनाई दे रहा है और customer को क्या चाहिए, and we've spoken to over 500 customers on this. Clear indication, here तो चाहिए. And that's when we said कि let's make something that the consumers truly want. ऐसा नहीं कि जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसी को वापस पैकेज करके दे देते हैं. लेट्स मेक इट. तो वहाँ से व्हेन द जर्नी स्टार्टेड वी हैड टू मेक आवर ओन मोटर्स, वी हैड टू मेक द गियर बॉक्सेस, द बैटरीज, द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, द एंटायर व्हीकल फ्रॉम स्क्रैच.
एंड नोबडी वुड हैव, आई बिलीव नोबडी वुड हैव थॉट ऑफ जितने भी ईवीज टू व्हीलर्स इंडिया में अब आ रहे हैं, ये गियर वाला किसी ने, आई थिंक
वी आर द फर्स्ट इन इंडिया टू हैव एक्चुअली पुट गियर्स ऑन अ इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक और एन इलेक्ट्रिक टू व्हीलर.
सो आई मीन ये एक चीज़ है जो स्टैंड आउट करती है मैटर को बाकी सभी ईवीज या और भी जो ब्रांड्स ऑलरेडी मौजूद हैं मार्केट में. इसके अलावा आई हैव सीन वहाँ पे एक कॉन्सेप्ट खड़ा है, एंड देयर इज वन कॉन्सेप्ट ओवर देयर, एंड दिस वन आई रियली लव इट राइट नाउ. आई होप ये जिस शेप में है एटलीस्ट 70-80% इसका ये शेप वैसे का ही जब फाइनली प्रोडक्शन वर्जन में देखने को मिलेगा.
डेफिनेटली.
सो इन दोनों को लेके आपका क्या प्लान है, एंड व्हाट उसका पर्पस क्या है, इसका पर्पस क्या है, if you can please.
So definitely. So while the Matter motorbike sits in the 150-200cc range of vehicle, we wanted to, in line with our vision of accelerating India to electric, we also wanted to create mass market products, and that is where, let's call it the sub 150cc, because exact cc to electric powertrain.
Right now you're calling this EXC concept.
This is the concept EXC. So the concept EXC and the concept UT both are built on the same platform. Both come with swappable batteries. Both can be, so both are very flexible platforms which allow you to accessorize it a lot, change it to the way which is suited to you as a consumer best. Both of them are connected platforms. In that sense, they are very...
NDA consolidates footprint in the Northeast. A massive win for Prime Minister Modi's tribal outreach. BJP looks set to sweep Nagaland along with its alliance, also leads in Tripura. NPP leads in Meghalaya, likely to form government in state in post-poll alliance with the BJP again. Huge loss of face for Congress in the Northeast elections, loses in all three states and faces credibility crisis as an alliance partner for 2024. Congress candidate EVKS Elangovan leads by over 12,000 votes. Celebrations in DMK Congress camp begin. Supreme Court forms 5-member committee headed by former Supreme Court Judge Justice A.M. Sapre in Adani Rao. Panel to submit report in 2 months and sealed cover will oversee the SEBI probe. Prime Minister addresses G20 foreign ministers meeting, highlights global governance has failed, highlighting multilateralism in crisis, renews push for global consensus. Amid continuing tension at the LAC, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to hold key bilateral with new Chinese counterpart Qin Yang on the sidelines of the G20. Operation Mitti Mein Mila Denge continues in Uttar Pradesh. Authorities likely to demolish house of Atiq Ahmed's arms supplier Safdar Ali today. After BJP MP Shubrat Pathak hints at Gaadi palat jayegi, Atiq Ahmed now moves Supreme Court, says I do not want to be shifted out of Sabarmati jail or taken to Uttar Pradesh, says he fears for his life. Opposition united against Modi but divided over fight for power ahead of 2024. NC bats for Stalin as Prime Minister. Face Congress makes a U-turn on being the leader of the opposition alliance. Welcome, you're watching Mandate 2023. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Ladies and gentlemen, the suspense around the big battle for the Northeast is finally getting over as results have started trickling in for the battle, which is being seen by many as a route for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Without much ado, let's take you through what the numbers are looking like. The NDA seems to have consolidated. Let's take that alone. The NDA seems to have consolidated its footprint in the Northeast with wins almost looking certain in Tripura and Nagaland, the BJP alliance in Nagaland. And Tripura on its own, it seems quite comfortable. It is in Meghalaya also likely to form an alliance post-poll with Conrad Sangma's NPP, so quite comfortably placed at present. Jayam Rugh, psephologist, here with us in the studio. Mr. Raj Gopalan, senior journalist, also with us in the studio. But before we go any further and open up our panel, I want to quickly take you through some of the big numbers. Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, also with us is Patricia Mukim, senior journalist, and Kirip Chaliha, former member of parliament of the Congress. Looking at the big numbers here on the screen, Jay, here you have it.
Yeah.
This is going to be giving some major,
you know, I mean, it's given some
BJP going up and down.
Exciting for the BJP. But again, we should tell our viewers that the major loser in this BJP plus is the IPFT, not as much the BJP.
Yeah.
The BJP would have lost give and take half a dozen seats. It's the IPFT. But
we look at the breakup for that also. We have the breakup state-wise for the alliance partners also. Big numbers. BJP plus 31, Congress plus 16, Tripura Motha 12. Is at 12.
The upstart has finally made its footprint clear.
Creditable performance. Nagaland quite clear. BJP plus, we've got 38. NPF is at 5. Congress is at 3. Others are at 14. Meghalaya, we've got 59 trends now.
19, NPP almost as similar as last time, the same tally in fact. The BJP having improved from last time, from
I
2
think
to
this
7.
is the number that has gone up, and this of course has gone up from 2, they've gone up to 7. And others, and this has gone down from last time around.
So this has gone from 21 to 7. Here UDP, Hill State Development Party, TMC, they are the other major 3 stakeholders in this others.
Okay, let's quickly take a look at the breakup for Tripura now, so that we will be able to find out what the alliances, the individual parties have fared like.
The numbers which we have of the breakup in Tripura, the BJP's ally IPFT is just about 1. The major is still the BJP. In a way, the BJP still has a complete moral victory in Tripura. It's at the halfway mark, 30 by 60. So that stays with the
CPM is getting 11, and the Congress is at 5.
You know, sir, in fact, the left has given a lifeline to the Congress. They were completely decimated last time.
Let's take a look at this over there on our election news center, because it will be important to see how these parties have fared vis-a-vis last time. Especially for the Congress, this will be an important story. So they allied with the left. Now the left will be thinking, did we make a mistake? Maybe we could have done better. Take a look at the performance over here. See, 31 BJP plus, Congress plus 16, Tripura Motha here. So if we compare 2018-2023, who has benefited in this alliance and who has been the panauti?
The equation is very simple. Last time the left by its own was 16. Now having made space for the Congress, having allowed the Congress to win 5 seats, it is still at 16, means effectively the left has gifted 5 to the Congress. That's point number 1. Point number 2, the BJP plus was at 44. Okay. Now it's at 30 BJP plus 1, which means it's the IPFT which has completely made space for the Tripura Motha. So the 2 gainers are Tripura Motha, the retainer, complete retainer almost as BJP. It is the BJP, and the Congress is a real latcher. It's latched on to the left and made space for itself.
So let me open this up and take the first word from Mr. Mohammad Salim, who's joining us. Kirip Chaliha also with us. Kirip Chaliha, opening thoughts. Let's take Mr. Chaliha and Shehzad Poonawala together. From the looks of it, you have actually pulled down the CPM, in Tripura at least.
Well, it's sad to admit, but the fact is the Congress could not gain anything by aligning with CPM. But what they did was they thought that this would be a winning combination, but I don't think Congress could gain much. But, you know, they had little choice. Organizationally, they were weak. And I think it's a success story for BJP. BJP has taken over a vast support of from the Congress party, as well as I think from the left. I think this is a big victory for the BJP. I mean, nobody can deny it. And Congress hasn't done well. We need to. I have always been saying that Congress needs to have get their mathematics, and especially election politics. They must come down to the ground and not depend only on the old theories of Congress, there is no scene.
Things seem to be really dire for the Congress when a former member of Parliament of the Congress is saying that full credit to the BJP.
Padmaja, I was 8 years in charge of Tripura. I know Tripura inside out. I knew this was going to happen, but we must give due credit and we must learn from Tripura Morcha, that is Pradyut's party. Pradyut was a very young kid when he first started. He was in a youth congress. Then he made it on his own, and he has shown now that a regional party with some certain amount of commitment and dedication can still rise up. And let me tell you, in this connection, I must also say that BJP watching the annihilation of the other tribal party. I don't think BJP is much worried, because I think even they may even cobble up some kind of alliance with Pradyut also.
Well, they will. I mean, at least if the example is of other states and the regional parties clearly see benefit in allying with the BJP, which has got clarity about what they want and what they can offer to their alliance partners. Shehzad Poonawala, the story today.
Look, Padmaja, there are three definitive takeaways that you can draw from the results so far. One, that the Congress party in Meghalaya has been completely decimated and the BJP has shown almost a fourfold rise there. Two, in Tripura, the Congress party has displayed the worst kind of opportunistic politics. Imagine the situation that for 2 decades your own karyakartas are killed and beaten by the left regime that was there in Tripura. You abuse them in Kerala, but you hug them in Tripura. And this opportunistic politics has been rejected roundly, where people have once again reinforced their faith in the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government in Tripura. And thirdly, in Nagaland, our alliance is again being voted into power, and the Congress party is irrelevant, and this is pretty much the picture you will see in 2024 as well, because the Congress party does not learn from its mistakes. They haven't understood and cracked the formula of Northeast. First, they have treated Northeast as an ATM. They have only treated it as a separate entity, but the manner in which the Northeast today has been mainstreamed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, by his consistent efforts, it is a divine result. Divine meaning development in Northeast. I keep reiterating this at the cost of sounding repetitive, but today's mandate, the Kamal is blooming across Northeast, and the Ashtalakshmi, Ma Tripura Sundari is blessing us, because we have taken Vikas to every nook and corner, to the women of Northeast, and this is why the people are reinforcing their faith in the BJP.
Okay, since we're talking about Tripura, I want to quickly, sorry to interrupt you, I want to quickly go across to Tamal Saha as well, because I believe he is there with supporters of Tripura Motha, which we have been saying again and again. First, in the local elections, they did exceedingly well. And in all of these areas, before I go across to you, Tamal, I want to quickly show our viewers the map over here. You see this yellow? Here, this area, which otherwise was with the left and the Congress, is where the Tripura Motha has made its footprints. So these are the people of the moment with you. Over to you, Tamal.
Well, Padmaja, first I just want to give you a panoramic view of this particular road. I'll ask my VJ Bapi to just give you a sense of the road. As far as the camera lens can focus, you can only see your people, and they're all Tripura Motha supporters. They are saying what a way to start politics. This is the first time Tripura Motha had been formed. This is the first time Tripura Motha had fought election. And at the moment, in their first foray into electoral politics, Tripura Motha is as of now leading in roughly about 13 seats. So of course there is a lot of jubilation, a lot of euphoria among Tripura Motha supporters. And mind it, Padmaja, in Tripura politics in 2018, BJP, when they secured 36 seats and you had IPFT 8, that IPFT number had dwindled down, because that segment of votes, which is essentially the niche tribal votes, the backward class votes, they are now being concentrated and gravitated towards Tripura Motha, because their cause is something Tripura Motha Chief Pradyut, Maharaja Pradyut De Burman have been championing. Quickly speaking to the supporters, how do you feel? The numbers look interesting for Tripura Motha, leading in roughly about 13 seats. First thought?
No, as for the report now, latest report I have gotten, and we are leading in 14 seats, whereas BJP roughly leading in 28 seats and the CPM 18 seats, like that.
Well, how does it feel
Yeah, we feel so good, and this time the citizens of Tripura already had decided to vote for new changes, and this is the first time ever a regional political party is getting more than 10 seats, and this seats will create a history from today onwards.
Will Tripura Motabid also be leading a front, or will they be staking claim of a chief minister's seat if it's a hung assembly? Who would you want to become the chief minister? I know you're a Tripura Mota supporter.
No, but however, before the chief minister, we are more concerned about our constitutional solutions. And as our party chief, our Maharaja, had already told in the media as well, that without getting a permanent solution or a constitution solutions, even though if the assembly is getting hung, Tripura Mota is not going to alliance with any of the political party until and unless we get a written
Okay, I'm
assurance.
sorry to interrupt you. There is big election reform that has taken place. We will take reactions from Mr. Rajgopalan and Shehzad Poonawala on this, but this is massive. The Constitution bench had to deliver a verdict on PILs that sought reforms in process of appointment of members of the Election Commission. They wanted insulation of the Election Commission from political and executive interference, and now a major reform has been brought about. The Constitution bench has ordered that a committee consisting of the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, and the Chief Justice will finalize the names for the Chief Election Commissioner and the ECs. Let's get Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan also live on this. But first to you, Harish, give us the details of this massive reform. Back to you.
Yes, Padmaja, it's a massive judgment coming in from the Supreme Court. As far as the appointment of election commission members is concerned, Supreme Court has quashed the present system of appointments and formed a collegium system, and that will comprise of the Prime Minister, the Chief Justice of India, and the Leader of Opposition, and this till Parliament brings in a law. Remember, the Supreme Court 5-judge Constitution bench in a unanimous verdict agreed with the plea that appointment of CEC and the election commissions to be done on the lines of appointment done for CBI director to make the commission more independent and to prevent any kind of interference in its functioning. A 5-judge bench was pronouncing judgment on petitions which sought reforms in the process of appointment of members of election commission, including the chief election commissioner. Petitioners had sought a direction to insulate whole panel from political or executive interference, and therefore wanted an independent mechanism for appointment of election commissioners insulated from political or executive pressure or influence. The Supreme Court has upheld each and every argument of the petitioners, and during the hearing, Supreme Court had said a fair and transparent mechanism should be adopted to appoint the best apolitical person with strong character who can make independent decisions without being influenced, and agreed that panel also needs to be insulated from political or executive interference. And remember, these petitioners had also sought a collegium system, and had said that there are no checks and balances in the appointment process, and it allowed the government to appoint persons of its choice.
Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, who covers the Election Commission, also joining us live. We have important observations being made by Justice Joseph, saying any process that seeks to improve the election process before the court must be considered. Once results are out, matter largely becomes a fait accompli. Lincoln declared democracy to be by, for and of the people. Government should run as per laws. Mr. Rajgopalan, first reaction?
Welcome step by the Supreme Court. At the same time, GVG Krishnamurthy, who was from the judicial side during TN session time, now I see the IAS, IPS lobby will be sidelined. Now judiciary will also come into the play of election commissioner. That is what judiciary is coming into that. Plus, it's a victory for government, because government side will have 2 representatives, Prime Minister and CJI will also take the government side. Apart from that, Padmaja, from this ruling, I am very sure in the monsoon session of Parliament, again National Judicial Accountability Bill will also be introduced, because we have to straighten the judiciary system also. That is what government will put forth its plea.
All right, we are going to take a quick reaction from Shehzad Poonawala as well. Quite a massive step there by the Supreme Court, acting on a bunch of pleas. Shehzad Poonawala, first reaction.
Look, Padmaja, by and large, any step that is taken in the direction of bringing in more transparency, more accountability is always welcome. The current process was mandated by the Constitution. That was the process that was being followed. I believe that the new process which you've just described...
Sorry to interrupt you, Prashant Bhushan speaking right now. Let's cut across.
insider trading, allegations of insider trading and jacking up prices of the Adani companies. And this committee will have the following members. It will have Mr.
All right, that was Prashant Bhushan actually speaking about the Supreme Court appointing a committee, a 5-member committee to oversee the SEBI probe into the Adani matter. Sorry, complete your point, Shehzad.
Hey, Manohar.
So the new process that you are talking about seems to be more like the process to appoint the CBI chief that is already in place. So I mean, there's no running commentary required on the judgments of the Supreme Court or orders of the Supreme Court. One generally welcomes all decisions taken to infuse more transparency. I hope that after this verdict, some people who are perennial, constant cynics in the process of electioneering in this country will stop saying and causing question marks about the Election Commission and stop besmirching its good reputation, because that undermines the entire electoral and democratic process of this country. I think at least now they will be inclined to put a full stop to that.
So
and also to EVM, Padmaja. The repeated EVM, that will put an end.
I doubt that is going to happen in a hurry, Mr. Rajgopalan. जब तक है election, तब तक EVM पे कुछ ना कुछ सवाल तो उठते ही रहेंगे. That is just the nature of our politics. Two big news points have come from the Supreme Court today, and two big stories which have been the subject of much political squabbling. One, the Adani Hindenburg report, and second, the impartiality or the reform of the Election Commission. And in both, in one, the Supreme Court has announced this major policy change, this reform, and in Adani Hindenburg, they have appointed a 5-member committee. But Neelashish, coming to you now, explain to us the contours of how this committee is going to work, or how this selection panel is going to work, and what it means for the EC.
Well, Padmaja, as of now, the panel that has been constituted in a way is till the time the Parliament comes up with a law. Of course, this panel which will consist of the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition and the Chief Justice of India. That is a very similar process of appointment of a CBI director. Of course, this was something along the lines that was said by Justice Joseph, wherein he stated that any process that seeks to improve the election process before the court must be considered. Now, this suggestion, of course, was taken on by the court, given the fact that there was sought to be a more transparent manner of appointment. So, of course, while the Parliament comes up with the law, at this point in time, this 3-member panel will appoint the election commissioners. It was also stated that power becomes goal of political parties to an end. What is disturbing and the substance of complaints of the petitioners is the sullying of the process of this gaining of power.
So the sullying of the process is hopefully what should end now, Rahul.
Absolutely, Padmaja. Look, at the end of the day, the Supreme Court has, of course, intervened. The larger question, and you know, someone like Shehzad might even agree with me, is, of course, what about the Supreme Court setting up a more transparent mechanism to appoint judges? You know, the collegium system perhaps requires this kind of also coordinated participation, but that's for another day. We can touch upon that. But very importantly, viewers, massive reform. It's a reform that is going to take away current, as Padmaja said, acrimony over the impartiality, the perceived impartiality of the Election Commission. One less issue for the opposition to target the government with. This particular selection panel now will be a much more accommodative panel. Supreme Court has quashed the present process. The EC member selection now by a panel. The panel will consist of the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition and the Chief Justice of India. I think this is a very important step in cementing India's place as a democracy in the comity of free nations. India has, of course, always been the flag bearer of a large number of democratic reforms. In fact, when we were independent first, India was one of the very few countries where the franchise was absolutely universal from day one of its birth. as a democracy, and we tend to forget that the only difference was that the age of voting age was 21. That was, of course, lowered to 18 a little later on in our history in the 80s. But the fact of the matter is that we have cemented our place in the Committee of Nations. Anyone talking about the Supreme Court itself being aligned with the government, Padmaja, that is also now obviously something that people will have to introspect, because let me just finish 30 seconds, if you allow me to paraphrase some of our panelists. Very, very importantly, viewers, let's not forget that at the end of the day, the Supreme Court has also been under scrutiny, and it has been under scrutiny more often than not from the opposition, that has said that it continually aligns itself with the government. Now, two things have been struck down, Padmaja, in one stroke.
Absolutely. In fact, the participative process that you were speaking of is also something that Justice Joseph has referred to, and Madhav can elaborate more on that, where he said democracy can succeed and only as all stakeholders work on it to maintain the purity of the election process so as to reflect the will of the people. Former Election Commissioner Mr. H.S. Brahma is also with us. Sorry to, I'll come to you in just a second, Madhav. First thoughts, sir, about the new process which the Constitution Bench has brought in. Mr. Brahma, can you hear me? We seem to have lost the link with Mr. Brahma, but Madhav, you can elaborate on the thinking behind this massive step by the Supreme Court.
Articulate, the five-judge bench has given its verdict, and it's very clear that the thinking of the Supreme Court is that any process that seeks to improve the election process must be considered. Once results are out, the matter largely becomes a fait accompli, and Lincoln declared democracy to be by, for, and of the people. Government should run as per the laws. Political parties, ultimately for them, power is the goal, and of course, what is disturbing and substance of complaints of petitioners is the sullying of the process of this gaining of power, and democracy can succeed only as all stakeholders work on it to maintain the purity of the election, is what is said. But let's
now we have Mr. Brahma here with us on the phone line. Mr. H.S. Brahma, your first thoughts on this major move from the Supreme Court?
No, what is to get done? Already decision has been taken is excellent. The judgment of the Supreme Court is excellent.
You think that all the questions that were being raised about the impartiality of the Election Commission are now going to be silenced forever, given that this is going to be...
Yeah, I'm sure. It should be. It will be. Yeah.
This participative process is what the Supreme Court says will ensure that every stakeholder is now going to believe in the purity of the process. You believe that, sir?
Exactly, I hope so. Definitely. It's a good thing.
All right. The first reaction coming in, Madhav, from the former Chief Election Commissioner, welcoming the step and saying, Rahul...
Padmaja, let me just put this in perspective. Yes. Obviously, Mr. Brahma is going to sort of cheer this on, and it is to be expected, because it is at the end of the day a spillover of the politics that we have seen, and it will obviously cement the Election Commission's place as an impartial sheriff of the election, so to speak. I just wanted to, if we have with us the Bharatiya Janata Party's Shehzad Poonawala, it'll be interesting if we can get a political reaction. Shehzad, very quickly, I know we are digressing a little bit from the politics, the elections that is, but not very far, because we're talking about the Election Commission, and the Election Commission is going to see a more participative process in the election of, or the selection rather, of the Chief Election Commissioner and the panel. What's your reaction to this?
It's in three parts, Rahul. First of all, this must now conclusively put to end every question of impartiality on an institution as pious as the Election Commission, and the attempt to besmirch the good name of the institution should stop immediately, even if the election results today don't go according to some of the people who are cheering on this verdict. Secondly, this idea of participative and transformative, transparent institution should now go into every organ of our democracy. It should not be limited to legislature, executive, or an independent body like the EC. there are other organs of government, including the judiciary, which must be informed by the same touchstone of participatory and transparent processes, because I should not be allowed to appoint myself. First principle of natural justice says that the judge can't be an appointer in his own cause.
Right.
So I hope it transcends into all organs of
into all organs, and that is an expected reaction coming in from the BJP. Give me 30 seconds, Shehzad. I want to go across to also Mr. Ashwini Upadhyay. He joins us. Mr. Upadhyay, your first reaction.
बहुत लैंडमार्क जजमेंट है राहुल जी, और हमने 5 मांग रखी थी, वो पांचों सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मान लिया है। हमने कहा था कि अपॉइंटमेंट थ्रू कोलेजियम होना चाहिए, जिसमें उसको भी मान लिया है। दूसरा हमने कहा था कि तीनों इलेक्शन कमिश्नर्स को इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन होना चाहिए, इक्वल सिक्योरिटी होनी चाहिए, इक्वल राइट होना चाहिए। अभी क्या है कि मान लीजिए सीसी को हटाना है तो इम्पीचमेंट लाना पड़ेगा, लेकिन दोनों जो इलेक्शन कमिश्नर हैं उनको आप एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर से हटा सकते हैं। तो अभी ये भी हो गया कि हाँ, तीनों का इम्पीचमेंट का प्रोसेस भी कॉमन हो जाएगा। एक जो बड़ी दिक्कत आती थी, इलेक्शन कमीशन को बार बार पैसे मांगने पड़ते थे छोटे छोटे काम के लिए, तो इंडिपेंडेंट बजट की मांग भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मान लिया है। चौथी हमने मांग किया था कि इंडिपेंडेंट सेक्रेटरीट होना चाहिए। अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास इंडिपेंडेंट सेक्रेटरीट है, लोकसभा के पास इंडिपेंडेंट सेक्रेटरीट है, लेकिन इलेक्शन कमीशन का इंडिपेंडेंट सेक्रेटरीट नहीं है। उसमें जो एम्प्लॉई काम करते हैं वो एक टाइम बेसिस पे 2 साल 3 साल के लिए आते हैं गवर्नमेंट से, फिर चले जाते हैं, और इसलिए इसके चक्कर में उनकी एक्सपर्टीज नहीं हो पाती इलेक्शन कमीशन का इलेक्शन कंडक्ट करने की। तो उसके लिए भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मान लिया है कि हाँ, इलेक्शन कमीशन का एक इंडिपेंडेंट सेक्रेटरीट होना चाहिए। और हमारी 5वीं मांग थी कि इलेक्शन कमीशन के पास रूल मेकिंग पावर होनी चाहिए। कई बार ऐसा होता है कि पॉलिटिकल पार्टियां जाति का जहर घोलती रहती हैं, भाषा का जहर घोलती रहती हैं, क्षेत्रवाद फैलाती रहती हैं, अपराधियों को टिकट देती रहती हैं, और भी क्या क्या करती रहती हैं। इलेक्शन के दौरान शराब बंटवाती रहती हैं, काला धन बंटवाती रहती हैं, सब आपको पता है क्या क्या होता रहता है। लेकिन इलेक्शन कमीशन कुछ कर नहीं पाता, इफेक्टिवली नहीं कर पाता। तो हमने ये कहा कि जब तक पार्लियामेंट से कानून बने तब तक अगर नहीं बन पा रहा है, तो इलेक्शन कमीशन के पास ऐसी जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टियां डिवाइड करती हैं, उनको टैकल करने के लिए उसके पास रूल मेकिंग पावर होनी चाहिए। और जिस तरीके का जो जाति, धर्म, भाषा, क्षेत्र का जो जहर घोला जाता है, उनको टैकल करने के लिए भी इलेक्शन कमीशन के पास एक पावर होनी चाहिए। तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने वो 5वीं मांग मान लिया है। तो अब एक तरीके से मुझे लगता है इलेक्शन कमीशन की ऑटोनॉमी में बहुत लैंडमार्क जजमेंट है। इसका बेनिफिट, फायदा ये होगा जनता में कि जातिवाद, भाषावाद, क्षेत्रवाद कम होगा, कट्टरवाद कम होगा, मजहबी उन्माद कम होगा। जो इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए इस तरीके का यूज करते हैं ना, जाति, धर्म, भाषा, क्षेत्र को, शायद उनके ऊपर कंट्रोल लगेगा। ब्लैक मनी का जो यूज होता है इलेक्शन कमीशन में, वो भी कम होगा। तो इससे बहुत बड़ा फायदा होने वाला है।
ऑब्वियसली इसमें जो आपने उपाध्याय साहब मांगे की थी, मोरलेसली तो कोर्ट ने उन पे ठप्पा लगा दिया, मोहर लगा दिया, मगर आप समझते हैं कि जो इस पे पॉलिटिक्स जो शुरू हुई थी कि इलेक्शन कमीशन पे जो उंगलियां उठती थी हर इलेक्शन के बाद, खास करके 2014 के बाद, अब वो भी बंद हो जाएगा, वो थम जाएगा ये मामला पूरा?
देखिए, इलेक्शन कमीशन पहले भी इंडिपेंडेंट था राहुल जी, आज भी इंडिपेंडेंट है। ऐसा नहीं कि इलेक्शन कमीशन पहले इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं था, इस जजमेंट के बाद ज्यादा इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाएगा। हाँ, लेकिन कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको केवल उंगली उठाना है, कभी ईवीएम पे उंगली उठाना है, कभी इलेक्शन कमीशन पे उंगली उठाना है, कभी कुछ भी करना है। जनता के बीच में काम नहीं करना है, हारने के बाद इलेक्शन कमीशन को दोषी देना है। तो फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच है, वो तो शायद अभी भी करेंगे, लेकिन कम से कम अब उनके पास कोई ग्राउंड नहीं होगा। अब मुझे लगता है इस जजमेंट के बाद उनका मुंह बंद हो जाना चाहिए। हाँ, इसके बाद भी कोई बोलता फिर उससे बड़ा बेशर्म कोई हो नहीं सकता।
Thank you very much, Ashwini ji. I just want to bring in Mr. Rajagopalan, Sanjay Jha also here with us. Mr. Rajagopalan, very quickly coming to you on this. Clearly now the opposition parties have a stake in the appointment of the next CEC and in the panel. It's a collegium system. Of course, I know you're going to say that the Supreme Court should apply the same yardstick to itself and perhaps make this appointment process when its own appointment process is concerned more transparent, but that's a slightly different issue. How do you see this? How do you see this?
Now, will the committee choose one from the public market, open market? We have to wait and watch. The committee can also get a legal expert, or even sitting judge can be appointed as election commissioner. So far we have been given it to the bureaucrats and also to the police officers. Now there will be an open market system. That is what I would like to envisage. Second most important, Rahul, this is member of 4 committee. It has no justice. It should be 5th member. The Speaker of Lok Sabha should also be included in this committee because he is the elected representative. He is the presiding officer of People's Lok Sabha. Therefore, Supreme Court, there will be an amendment from the government side. Let us make it as a 5-member committee so that the government gets opportunity of 4. Apart from that, as you also exactly said, we have reformed everywhere. Everywhere Supreme Court is giving its own extended arm. Now, who will comment on Supreme Court judges? A collegium cannot appoint his own choice. Therefore, there should be a mechanism for selecting Chief Justice and also the judges. Therefore, the need of our is National Judicial Accountability Bill will be reintroduced in monsoon session of Parliament.
Very, very interesting. Let me quickly come out to you, Sanjay Jha, and of course, Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad Poonawalla, of course, now the fight will really in earnest be for the LOP's post. Till now, the LOP's post itself, at least till the last election, was being handed out as some sort of a token gratification or consolation prize because some of the parties didn't make the criteria. Now, of course, there is something at least for the Congress and the other opposition parties to contest and fight for, if nothing else. Shehzad, sorry I'm being a little cheeky there, but the fact of the matter is that the LOP's position now becomes very, very important.
Absolutely, and already this arrangement is in place as far as the appointment of the CBI chief is concerned. So there's nothing unusual. There is nothing, that some people might want to say that, oh, this is going to be such a tremendous judgment because it has now shown the government its place. I know I can predict some of the speakers are going to come up, but having said that, I would only say that this transparency should carry on to all organs, and secondly, transparency should be done, but it should not be through the mechanism of judicial interference, because legislative independence and separation of powers is also seen in our own constitution, and therefore every branch of government, whether it's the executive, legislature or the judiciary, should be allowed to function independently. Nonetheless, the judiciary has come up with a decision. There's no point in giving any other commentary on this. We welcome any decision that is taken in the step towards ensuring greater transparency, and I hope it informs all organs of government and democracy.
Okay, quick response from Sanjay Jha before I bring in Madhav for more details from the judgment. Sanjay Jha, important milestone. Hopefully now the rancor that the opposition has demonstrated towards the Election Commission will subside.
Rahul, let me tell you, thank God for the Supreme Court of India that Indian democracy continues to survive. This is an authoritarian government. They have corrupted institutions. And you can make out from the voice of the BJP spokesperson on the panel that they are already sounding very deflated because they have used institutions as an instrument of their own.
Let me tell you, you have been making these points for the last few days, but there are no takers for these points. No, 1 second. There are no takers for these points. The election results are showing this today. 3 elections, 3 states, the Congress sliding into oblivion. Perhaps you need to look. Perhaps you need to look afresh at what the people want to hear and also what you are saying to them. Yes, Shehzad is raising his hands, and let's get Sanjay Jha and Shehzad Poonawalla to square off.
We need to segregate election results from the health of India's democratic institutions. And I think today the BJP is going to get sleepless nights because the moment that coercive powers
you want to remove the power of the public from determining. Now that is a novel one. I mean, can you imagine Sanjay Jha saying today that the vote that we have fought so hard as Indians to win should be ignored as a barometer of people's sentiment from the democratic health of this country? Oh my gosh, that's a big statement. Yeah, that's what Indira Gandhi did successfully. We don't want to go back there. Very quickly, Shehzad Poonawalla, yes, he wants to come in.
Modi must be a worried man, Rahul, trust me.
Cambridge is worried.
The mother of democracy.
Cambridge is worried.
Rahul, Mr. Rajgopalan, if I may.
The mother of democracy is the father of dictatorship.
Rahul, if I may. Rahul, you've called upon my name.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Rahul,
go ahead.
If I may.
Go ahead.
It's not without reason that I say it's not without reason that I say that some people are not suspended in membership but suspended in logic, because some people have divorced the act of voting and electoral outcomes, which is key and most important in a democracy, from democracy itself. But having said that, today I am very happy. I don't know why he's thinking my voice is deflated. Today we have now ruled out the prospect of getting an election commissioner like Naveen Chawla.
That's what I said.
Don't you think that's an achievement?
What I said,
I think it's a very big achievement. Sanjay, don't become a body language and a voice expert. I think, if anything, the results that are flashing on the screens, where the Congress has essentially become a Northeast Mukt Congress, I think those results should tell you that this is also a reflection of democracy, that your politics of divide and rule and Parivarwad have been rejected in eternity. But here you are not able to understand the verdict. And finally, today I am very happy for one more reason, Rahul. Till yesterday on your show, I was hearing that the court of this country is not independent. Today, Sanjay Jha has said that the Supreme Court is alive and kicking. So tomorrow, when the verdict on Manish Sisodia and others have come, those will also be accepted, and they will not say that the courts are being influenced. I am very happy because one leader, a Tapaswi till yesterday, had said that even the courts are agents of the BJP and RSS.
Yeah, and there was a lot of, in fact, commentary from the opposition questioning, especially after the Ayodhya judgment, and of course, after the Demo judgment about the independence of the judiciary. But Swapnil Kothari, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's a bright morning. There is a lot of action, most of it now coming from the Supreme Court. How do you look upon this? Madhav also there with us for more details on what the order says. But Swapnil Kothari, first to you, quick analysis.
Yes, Rahul, it's in fact a very bright morning also for the Supreme Court and for the Indian democracy. Somehow I always feel that the judiciary, when it does a wonderful job, and it's been doing a wonderful job, a stellar job, it always seems to face the flak, especially when orders do not go in favor of the opposition. Now, with this kind of a ruling, which is more of like a tight slap on any sort of compunctions or any sort of aberrations that anybody could have against the judiciary, we are looking at a very, very nice panel where you are going to say that there is a leader of opposition, whether there's going to be a prime minister and there's going to be a CJI. In fact, in November 2022 itself, Rahul, Arun Goel's decision, appointment as an election commissioner, a swift one, was challenged by the Supreme Court, or was questioned by the Supreme Court, saying that why have you appointed this election commissioner in such a hurry? It's at such a lightning speed. So the seeds of this judgment was sown on that particular day itself.
Right.
And I knew for a fact that the CJI would step in. And this is a good thing. And all I can say is that I believe a lot of transparency will now be there. Or should I say a perceived opaqueness is vanished. And there'll be more transparency as far as this process is concerned.
But very interesting. Madhav, what more is the order saying?
Well, absolutely, Rahul. Before I just get into the order, let's just understand why this is so important. Remember that since the TN Session led reforms at the time that he was CEC, and the formation of a panel where there was not one CEC himself, but two other election commissioners, which made it a 3-member panel, and that has pretty much been the precedent for the last 26 years or so. This is another massive poll reform, and why it is so is that it is the government through the Law Commission, which is the nodal department to notify as far as election commission is concerned. The government would typically, and I'm saying typically because there have been exceptions to this, appoint an IAS officer as the election commissioner, and therefore the senior most officer amongst those, this is of course post-retirement, typically post the age of 60 when they superannuate, they would be appointed to the election commission and then continue for a period until they turn 65. The senior most of them automatically would become CEC. This is pretty much a process that has been in place. There have been exceptions to the rule. There have been IRS officers, etc., who have been appointed recently as well. But this has, at some level or other, raised questions at a time when the election commission itself has been at the heat of a lot of political debate. About questions have been raised by opposition time and again, not just on EVMs, but on the partiality or the impartiality question when it comes to different issues, whether it's model code of conduct or otherwise, because the election commission, apart from just being a poll management body, is also a quasi-judicial authority that decides on various issues, including the symbols of various political parties,
Rahul,
that decides on the fate of political parties, and therefore it becomes it has been extremely controversial. Whichever way you look at it, the fact that it is now going to be done by a panel is certainly going to change the manner in which the entire appointment process itself is done. The Supreme Court, of course, says that there have been questions that have been raised about whether political influence has been there in terms of the decision-making and appointments as far as Election Commission is concerned. And they want to do away with that with this particular decision.
Okay, Mr. Rajagopalan wants to make a point before we step into a break.
The Election Commission also wanted, all the retiring election commissioners wrote to government saying that they want contempt proceedings. Will the new judgment have an opening for that? Contempt proceedings by the Election Commission.
Any word on that?
Defaulting.
Any word on that, Mother? We can't hear you. I think you muted yourself.
Well,
can you just, go ahead.
Yeah, that is a very important point that has been made by Mr. Rajgopalan. We will have to go through the fine print because a lot in terms of the powers of the Election Commission also have been sought by the petitioners. What exactly the judgment says in its fine print, we are still in the process of going through. The operational parts are already out. But yes, a lot of points that have been raised, even Ashwini Upadhyay was elaborating on those in terms of the powers of the Election Commission itself and the entire impartiality in terms of the role, in terms of the funding of Election Commission. It doesn't have to run to the government coffers every time to get its funding for various reforms approved. Remember, there are a lot of reforms in the pipeline that have been hanging fire for years. Some of them have been implemented by this government, but many of them have been hanging fire for a long time for want of executive approval. And perhaps with more autonomous...
And what about the election bonds? The election bonds was a contemporary one.
Well, we'll have to go through the fine print, obviously, of this particular order. There were 5 basic demands. Most of them have been met. We'll have to go into the fine print, as you yourself are saying, Madhav. We'll take a very short break. We'll be right back, viewers. The big news coming out from the Northeast and the Supreme Court today, not in any order of priority. The Supreme Court coming out and deciding that the Election Commission, the panel's selection process needs to be more inclusive and has therefore recommended a collegium system which will include also the leader of the opposition. Very, very critical. So government's monopoly over the selection of the Election Commission and the other 2 members of the panel now ends. Reaffirmation in India's democracy, and of course the Election Commission's impartiality, number 1. Number 2, viewers, from the Northeast, the BJP wave holding forth there, powered really by the Prime Minister's brand, his personal connect with the electorate, and of course Himanta Biswa Sarma's very clever management of the politics there. I'll take a very short break and we're right back in just a few moments.
आ चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। इनसाइड द बॉक्स यू गेट दिस लिटिल पेपर बॉक्स एज वेल, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है। लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको। यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है। यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक। अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं। उफ, वेरी वाइब्रेंट एंड पेपी येलो कलर। Just like the box, the smartphone also boasts the combination of black, or call it dark gray, along with yellow. और कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग डिजाइन आपको फ्रेम्स पर भी दिखेगा। जो कलर आपको यहाँ कैमरा मॉड्यूल पर दिख रहा है, पीछे ये जो पैच पर दिख रहा है, वही आपको उसी कलर का फ्रेम दिखाई देगा विद येलो एक्सेंट्स। वेट की बात करें तो अच्छा है, लाइट वेट है, और यहाँ पे जो येलो है दिस इज लिटिल बिट डल, नॉट एज वाइब्रेंट एज द बॉक्स और प्रॉपर येलो। वैसे तो मैट फिनिशिंग है, लेकिन ये जो कलर है इसके अंदर हल्का सा ग्लिटर आपको दिखाई देता है। फ्लैशी नहीं है, अच्छा है, इसको साइड में रखते हैं, अभी ऑन भी करेंगे और उसके बाद स्मार्टफोन के बारे में बात करेंगे। ज्यादातर फोन से आपको दिखाई देगा। इसके अलावा दिस डिस्प्ले इज प्रोटेक्टेड विद कॉर्निंग गोरिल्ला ग्लास 5, तो आपको इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि डिस्प्ले को कुछ हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। द फोन इज ऑल्सो ऑफरिंग IP53 रेटिंग टू प्रिवेंट ऑल दी डस्ट एज वेल एज वाटर स्प्लैशेस। यहाँ पर, और जैसे कि डिस्प्ले पे आपको दिख रहा होगा, बेजल्स आर प्रिटी थिन। इनफैक्ट यहाँ पर चारों साइड पे मुझे सेम बेजल्स दिखाई दे रहे हैं, मतलब मेजरमेंट उनका, और थिन भी लग रहा है। यहाँ पे वाइट बैकग्राउंड पे देखेंगे तो आई थिंक इसका जो व्यूइंग एक्सपीरियंस है दैट शुड ऐड टू इट बिकॉज ऑफ द थिन बेजल्स। और सामने आपको यहाँ पर दिख रहा होगा पंच होल कैमरा। दिस इज अ 16 मेगापिक्सल फ्रंट शूटर टू क्लिक ऑल द वाइब्रेंट सेल्फीज एज वेल एज मेक वीडियो ब्लॉग्स। कैमरास की यहाँ पे बात की है तो एक बार आपको पीछे वाले कैमरास के बारे में भी बता देते हैं। रेक्टेंगुलर कैमरा मॉड्यूल आपको यहाँ दिखाई देगा, इसको कॉम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए थोड़ा सा ब्लैक पैच यहाँ पे स्ट्रेच किया गया है। नाउ दिस कैमरा मॉड्यूल houses 3 cameras in total. The main camera is a 108 megapixel shooter. उसी के साथ आपको मिलता है अल्ट्रा वाइड लेंस एज वेल एज मैक्रो लेंस फॉर ऑल द मैक्रो फोटोग्राफर लवर्स। अब बात करते हैं थोड़ी सी डिजाइन की। रेयर पैनल के बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं। फ्रेम की बात करें तो राइट साइड पे आपको मिलता है वॉल्यूम रॉकर, उसी के नीचे येलो एक्सेंट में आपको मिलता है पावर बटन। दिस पावर बटन ऑल्सो एक्ट्स एज अ फिंगरप्रिंट स्कैनर। वो कितना फास्ट है ये आपको रिव्यू वीडियो में बताएंगे। बॉटम की बात करें तो आपको मिलता है सिम ट्रे, टाइप सी
भी है, लेकिन ये जगह एडिक्वेट होगी क्योंकि मेरी हाइट के लिए अगर मैं कहूँ तो यहाँ पर अगर मैं थोड़ा सा अपराइट बैठूं तो यहाँ पर ये मेरा सर टच कर रहा है, बट अगेन आई एम नॉट एवरेज इन हाइट, थोड़ा सा मैं ज्यादा लंबा हूँ। तो ओवरऑल स्पेशियस, कंफर्टेबल मुझे लग रही है 2 लोगों के लिए खास तौर पर, और वैसे 3 लोगों की भी जगह है, लेकिन यहाँ पर ये जो हिस्सा है बैकरेस्ट, वहाँ पर आपको आर्मरेस्ट मिलेगा। यहाँ पर फोन वगैरह या टैबलेट वगैरह रखने की जगह है, और प्लस 2 कप होल्डर्स आपको यहाँ पर, या बॉटल होल्डर्स आई गेस कप होल्डर्स, वो आपको देखने को यहाँ मिल रहे हैं। ओवरऑल जो फील है वो काफी सॉलिड है, जो फिनिश है काफी प्रीमियम है, जो क्वालिटी है वो काफी प्रीमियम आपको देखने को मिल रहा है। और यहाँ पर एसी वेंट अगर हम देखें तो यहाँ 3 जोन क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल आप समझ सकते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पर अलग से आप अपने पैसेंजर सीट के लिए, रेयर सीट के लिए अलग टेम्परेचर जोन आप यहाँ सेट कर सकते हैं, वो कंट्रोल दिया गया है। साथ में 2 सी टाइप के पोर्ट्स भी आपको देखने को मिल रहे हैं। सो फीचर के हिसाब से, आराम के हिसाब से, स्पेस के हिसाब से सेकेंड रो is very practical, and I think this is the USP of this car. Gandhi Samo reporting from the first row of or driver seat of BMW 3GL. और यहाँ सबसे पहली चीज जिसके बारे में बात करना चाहूंगा वो है ये पूरा स्क्रीन का सेटअप। जो शेप है उसका हल्का सा कर्व्ड आपको ड्राइवर साइड की तरफ, या ड्राइवर सेंट्रिक थोड़ा सा ये ज्यादा लग रहा है, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं, बट या यू फील कि हाँ आपकी तरफ ये मुड़ा हुआ है। सो ये कर्व इसकी बनावट है। यहाँ पर एक स्क्रीन है जो पूरी तरह से डिजिटल इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन आपको नजर आएगा। दिस इज 12.3 इंचेस, और यहाँ पर दूसरा जो स्क्रीन है 14.9 इंच का। यहाँ मोर और लेस इस सेंटर पैनल में जो बटन्स आपको देखने को मिल रहे थे, आमतौर पर जो दिखते हैं वो सारे बटन्स यहाँ से लगभग नदारद हो गए, जो बहुत ही बेसिक फंक्शंस हैं, चाहे वो एसी के स्पीड का हो या फिर वॉल्यूम कंट्रोल का हो, ट्रैक को आगे पीछे करने का हो, वो आप यहाँ बटन देख रहे हैं। अदरवाइज मोर और लेस सारे कंट्रोल्स मुझे यहाँ नजर आ रहे हैं। थोड़ा वक्त लगेगा इसके टच स्क्रीन के बिहेवियर को आपको समझने में या आदत लगाने में। यहाँ पर आपको वायरलेस एप्पल कारप्ले, एंड्रॉयड ऑटो भी मिल रहा है, प्लस ये सारे ऐप्स यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं, इससे आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। एक और चीज़ जो इसमें एडिशन हुई है वो आपको बताएं। जैसे एक बार आपको याद होगा, बहुत पहले मैंने BMW में जब पहली बार वॉइस कमांड्स आए थे, तब मैंने जब कमांड दिया था, हे BMW प्लीज ओपन ड्राइवर साइड विंडो, तो ये विंडो अब तो खोल रही है, लेकिन पिछली बार इसने मना कर दिया था कि भाई इतना काम तो तुम खुद कर लो, बाकी सारे कमांड्स तो मैं मान ही रही हूँ। लेकिन अब वो भी आपको इसमें देखने को मिल रहा है। फिलहाल ऑडियो के लिए, बेहतर ऑडियो के लिए मैं इसे करता हूँ बंद, और अब बटन्स की बात पर वापस आता हूँ, क्योंकि बहुत सारे बटन्स आपको यहाँ देखने को मिल रहा है। आई ड्राइव फंक्शन तो है ही, जो ड्राइव सेलेक्ट वाला जो टॉगल स्विच है वो भी आपको थोड़ा सा अलग नया डिजाइन में देखने को मिलेगा, जहाँ पर थोड़ा मिनिमलिस्टिक है, बट यूज के हिसाब से एर्गोनॉमिक मुझे ज़्यादा लग रहा है। आप आराम से ड्राइव के वक्त बिना नज़र हटाए मोर और लेस इंफोटेनमेंट स्क्रीन के बहुत सारे फंक्शंस को और ड्राइव के फंक्शंस को आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। यहाँ पर मीडिया, टेलीफोन, होम, मैप, नेविगेशन, ये सभी कंट्रोल आप इस शफल इस डायल से कर सकते हैं। इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पार्किंग ब्रेक है।
A very good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Times Now. I'm Kritsween Wala. Well, it's almost certain now who's winning where as far as the three northeastern states in the country are concerned. Massive victory celebrations already trickling in. We take you through much more and also break down the numbers, the data for you here, right here on the election news headquarters on Times Now. But first up, let's quickly begin with the top headlines we're tracking this afternoon. NDA consolidates footprint in Northeast. Massive win for Prime Minister Modi's tribal outreach. BJP sweeps Nagaland, leads in Tripura. NPP leads in Meghalaya, likely to form government in state and post-poll alliance with the BJP. Huge loss of face for Congress in the Northeast polls. Loses all three states, faces credibility crisis as an alliance partner for 2024. Congress candidate Elangovan leads by over 12,000 votes. Celebrations in DMK Congress camp already begin. Supreme Court landmark reform for Election Commission selection says election commissioners to be appointed by panel including the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice of India in a bid to maintain purity of elections. Supreme Court forms 5-member committee headed by former Supreme Court Judge Justice A.M. Saprain Adani Rao. Panel to submit report in 2 months in a sealed cover. Prime Minister Modi addresses G20 foreign ministers meet, highlights global governance has failed, highlighting multilateralism in its crisis, renewing push for global consensus. Amid continued tensions, our LAC External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to hold key bilateral with new Chinese counterpart on the sidelines of the G20. Operation Mitti Mein Mila Denge continues in Uttar Pradesh. Authorities likely to demolish house of Atiq Ahmed's arms supplier Safdar Ali today. After BJP MP Subrata Pathak hints at encounter, Atiq moves Supreme Court opposing being shifted to UP for investigations. And well, ladies and gentlemen, the suspense around the big Northeast battle finally getting over as results have started trickling in for the battle, which is being seen by many as the route for 2024 Lok Sabha elections, because it's just a little over 1 year to go. And without much ado, let's quickly take you through the numbers. As you can see, those are some of the leads now translating into final results, taking you through what the numbers are looking like. The NDA seems to have consolidated its footprint, as you can see, in Northeast, with certain wins in Tripura and Nagaland for certain. Starting with Nagaland, where the BJP and its partners NDPP have zoomed past others and are leading with over 40 seats in the 60-member assembly for some time now. It's been an easy breezy for the BJP and its ally. As far as Tripura is concerned, the ruling BJP has taken a lead over the Left Congress alliance, not quite working out as far as this alliance of the left and the CPM is concerned. The BJP, though, which is in an alliance with the ruling partner, the Indigenous Progressive Front of Tripura, has been currently leading on over 25 seats, just a few short of the halfway mark. So the number looking quite good for the BJP and its ally there as well. The battle for Meghalaya also turning out to be very interesting. You can see NPP at 26, the Congress at 5, the BJP at 5, others at 25. Very, very interesting with each passing minute. The NPP has been placed to form a government, most likely with the BJP, and here we're expecting a post-poll arrangement where the two contested the election separately after a 5-year alliance. So yes, they were the incumbent alliance partners, likely to form a post-poll alliance. Let's see whether or not we do pick up reactions on that front already. But yes, the poll results, on the contrary, have been a huge dampener for the Congress, as it has been relegated to the fringe in the Northeast. It seems very, very clear that rebels have broken the Congress's back in Northeast, with Pradyut Deb in Tripura and Mukul Sangma led TMC in Meghalaya eating into Congress's votes. So the picture not quite looking good for the Congress, for the TMC either. But let me first up take it across to Tamal, as we do see how several supporters have taken to streets, Tamal, already. The results are now getting clearer with where is it that all the stakeholders stay, but the picture overall looking good for the BJP. Take us through the voices you're picking up, Tamal. Then I'll take in a word from Jay, our in-house psephologist with us, along with Mr. Rajagopalan also with us in the studios. But over to you, Tamal.
Well, you know, in my last broadcast, I had reported from a roadside where Tripura supporters had gathered. In the past half an hour, I'm just trying to find a way out to get out of this road, because I'm very close to the election counting center and most of the roads are cordoned off. I'm finding it difficult because from all sides I can only see Tripura supporters. That's essentially what I'm trying to suggest. Tripura supporters have come out close to the Agartala counting center in huge number. Thousands and thousands of Tripura supporters have assembled here, and they're saying it is historic victory for Tripura. The early trend suggests they are ahead in almost 14 seats, and they're saying it is no mean feat. First time they have contested election. They have forayed into political arena. Yes, Maharaja Pradyut Burman had been into politics. He was part of Congress. His family has a history of being part of political parties. But when it comes to forming our own political party and then get into the election fray, well, this was the first time. And they had challenged BJP, Left and Congress over the issue that as far as the cause of the tribals are concerned, as far as constitutional solution for Tripura land is concerned, that has been compromised, that they have been alleging against BJP and also erstwhile Left and Congress government. So Tripura supporters, of course, huge in number. They have come out. Dada, आप लोग बात करेंगे आप लोग. Language could be slightly an issue. I seek your forgiveness over there. But then, as I've been saying, the numbers at the moment, as they stack up, it seems like BJP is still ahead, could be the single largest party. But Tripura Mota could also be in a situation of a hung assembly, can be the kingmaker, can be the deciding factor. The Left and Congress, they are still hopeful because round 4 has been completed so far, and they are saying they are not too far off and they can pick up. So as the results gather momentum, the mood seems to be changing. And to be in all fairness, Amita, there are other sides of the road where BJP supporters have also assembled. By the time the next broadcast comes, I would try and make my way up to them. They are also jubilant, they are also excited. BJP is still hopeful that without anyone's support, without anyone's help, they would be forming their government. They would simply not be the single largest party. They would also be staking claim of the government. The only question and the factor at the moment remains if what they have projected, and they claimed that they would be surpassing 40, they would be surpassing the previous number of 36. If that really doesn't happen, then we have to then figure out what are the factors that probably had hurt BJP. Could it be
as you can see, the figure 11 speaking for itself, Jay. As for the Congress and CPM is concerned, it looked very, very poor right in the beginning, but they've still managed a 15 so far. Before we get into the digits, let me quickly take it across to Tanushree as well. She's tracking the numbers from Nagaland for us. A good 38 for the BJP. Tanushree, what is the sentiment you're picking up on ground?
Well, you see, Nagaland elections is very different, whereas we've seen that in Tripura, Meghalaya, there are celebrations. I'm standing here in the National Democratic Progressive Party, and this is the NDPP party. There are no party workers till now. There are no celebrations. It's just a very quiet day today for all of them. The Chief Minister, we'd been to his residence. Over there also, the view is the same. The Chief Minister's inside. Certainly what we are getting to know is that later in the day, later in the evening, he might hold a press conference. But till now everybody is very quiet. There are no visible celebrations on the streets because, as we are getting to know, the NDPP, they were very confident of their win along with the BJP, the alliance. They were very confident about their win. Even the trends had shown that, and they are winning. So therefore there is not much of a jubilation over here because this was very much expected from them. And the Nagaland is a place where there is no opposition. This is one of those places which does not have an opposition. So certainly they were very confident about the win, and they are are winning. So the Chief Minister is to hold a press conferences. That is what we are getting to know later in the evening. But right now, the party office, as we see, it is completely empty. Nobody is coming till now. Also, the Chief Minister's residence, that is also completely empty. The Chief Minister has been, as per sources, been talking to Abu Mehta, who is part of his party and an advisor. They have been having conversations over the phone, but certainly no amount of celebration
all about
is
conversations the next few hours, isn't it, Tanushree? Thank you for joining us with those details. Jay, what do you make of the latest trends coming in? And you know, are we to make out a clear picture for certain as to who's winning where?
Yeah, actually, one thing is very clear. At Tripura, the number for the BJP has been steady between 30 and 32 for the past 1 hour. So actually giving that number to the NDA, we have a fair deal of confidence that 30 to 32 or 33 is the range. More so, the second point in Tripura is that it's the IPFT which has suffered a major setback, the BJP's ally. Not the BJP. The BJP per se could be give and take half a dozen seats here and there, I mean in terms of the losses. So we are still looking at the BJP hopefully commanding a halfway number like 30 or 31, a simple majority on its own. So it looks sort of sorted. Coming to Nagaland, it again looks that the NDA is through. What is surprising, in Nagaland there are about 14 or 15 others. Now this is the intrigue which few people would know. Since the Congress and the NPF did not put candidates in more than half of the seats, these others, many of them are also friendly parties of the BJP, like the LJP, RPI and some independents. So it's not just an NDA possibility in Nagaland, there's a larger play that is open now in Nagaland. In Meghalaya, we are actually looking at the NPP slightly improving upon its past tally, which is very interesting. It goes to 21 or 22. The BJP also improves upon its past. It goes from 2 to 5 or 6, which says that majorly it could be an NPP BJP formation. But the headline is that the Congress, which had 28.5% votes last time in terms of vote share and 21 seats, it's been relegated to single digit largely by the Trinamool. So that's the headline from Meghalaya.
Okay, all right. Mr. Rajagopalan, what do you make of the overall picture? Because looks like it's overall good news for the BJP, with its allies or without. If we talk about Tripura, for example, easily looks past the halfway mark at the moment at 32. So it's faring between 30 to 33, as Jay is also pointing out, and not quite bad if we look at the Meghalaya picture as well, because they're likely to once again go back with the NPP, which is at 27 currently.
No, you take positive and negative aspects. As Jay Murug and you also explained, I would like to split it into 2 or 3 important points. One, it's a major victory for Mr. Narendra Modi. Second, Mr. Amit Shah. Third, Mr. Nadda. Fourth, the emergence of Hemanta Biswa Sarma in Northeast. Jay Murug will agree with me because of his political sagacity, and he is being branded as Chota Amit Shah of Northeast. So therefore, one. Second, totally Congress getting decimated. You can go to Bharat Jodo or you can go to Cambridge. Mr. Rahul Gandhi should learn. The regional parties, especially the state parties, are now compelling Congress to accept the reality that Congress is no more relevant in Indian politics. That is the reason. Third, Pradyuta Burman of Tripura emerging as a K. Chandrasekhar Rao of Telangana. He is also demanding a separate, autonomy for the state in Tripura within that one, like Andhra and Telangana were bifurcated. So these are all certain things. Pradyuta Burman is going to be the next, man to be noted in Tripura, because he is the emerging star of Tripura.
Yes.
Second, Congress. Pradyuta Burman was with Congress. He went out and he has formed a political party. In a matter of quick time, he got 11 or 12 MLAs. That means bigger thing, and he is going to compete with Rahul Gandhi at the national level.
Okay. So Mr. Vivek Bansal, leader of the Congress party, also with us on the broadcast along with Subir Bhaumik, senior journalist. I want to take it across to Vivek Bansal though, because Mr. Rajagopalan gave a very clear analysis on where the Congress has been left. It's been decimated completely.
State parties,
if you look at the overall picture,
Madam,
what happened to the Bharat Jodo Yatra? What
state parties have dumped Congress.
And perhaps if they're mulling at a leg too, sir, from the west to the east, it's too late, too little too late in the day. Mr. Bansal.
Yeah, well, it's very, at this moment, it's very difficult to comprehend what went wrong. But on the face of it, one can say that definitely we gave a very dismal show, and this was not expected, despite the fact that exit polls had been coming and they were not giving us too much of a chance. But I didn't expect or didn't anticipate that this would be the fallout of the elections, or we would be sort of, as you said, that we would be marginalized. Either these regional outfits are catching the imagination.
No, but look at Mr. Praditya Burman's story. He could have been the Congress's blue-eyed boy, and perhaps the Congress let go of him. But Mr. Bhaumik, Subir Bhaumik, what do you make of the overall picture, especially given how the BJP is quite easy at the moment? The picture has not quite changed. If we look at Meghalaya, do you think this is much to do with the Modi magic, with the fact that several central government leaders could be seen making their way to the northeastern states time and again? Amit Shah, top BJP leaders could be seen campaigning there all throughout. Vis-a-vis several others, do you think it was the campaigning effect that can now be seen translating into votes?
Well, election victory is all about planning and running the elections properly. It's about election management. It's less about tourism, how many visits who has made. It's about presence. But having said that, let me come back state by state, because I'm the man from here, and I'll tell you what is happening where. Yeah? Because it looks very different from Delhi. In Tripura, the emergence of this Tripura Motha as an aggressive tribal party pitching for a separate tribal entity called Greater Tripura Land, on the lines of what we have seen in Assam, Greater Bodoland and all those demands, this polarized the electorate seriously. Why? The tribals, and especially the younger tribals, went with the Maharaja. The royal factor is very important in Tripura. But here, they went with them. So they took away a lot of the traditional tribal votes that would go to the CPIM, because the communists emerged in Tripura in the hill area.
The factor is very, very key to this election. Not quite sure if it's going to make any dent. Mr. Bhaumik, I'm running out of time. We'll have to head into a very quick break. I'll come for a detailed analysis. Apologies to interrupt you there. We need to head into a very short break. More on the other side. We'll be right back.
हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं Mohul, who's founder and CEO of Matter. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Mohul, we've already seen this bike. I still don't know what you guys going to call it right now, but hopefully, we're going to know about it in a couple of months, I believe, and more details that we already know about specifications and what you are offering with this bike. But उसके अलावा कुछ और चीज़ें हैं जिनकी डिटेल्स अभी आनी बाकी हैं. So इस बाइक को लेकर थोड़ा टाइमलाइन, इफ यू कैन एक्सप्लेन किस तरह का टाइमलाइन रहने वाला है, एंड कब इसका ऑफिशियली लॉन्च आप करने वाले हैं?
Definitely. So first thing is at the Auto Expo we have also showcased the 6 kilowatt version of the bike. So at launch we had a 5 kilowatt version. Now we also have a 6 kilowatt version of the bike. And in terms of timeline, in the next 30 days we will be giving out the spec variants and pricing to the larger market. We will be opening up bookings for the Matter motorbike this quarter, and deliveries summer में शुरू हो जाने वाली है.
शुरू हो जाएंगी. So एक चीज़ जो बहुत ही टेक्नोलॉजी का इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बाइक के बारे में, इसमें गियर है. इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक होने के साथ साथ इसमें वो आइस वाला आपने एसेंस और बहुत बड़ा एसेंस इसमें बचा के रखा है. सो वो कैसे आपने उस पर काम किया, एंड हाउ डिड यू थॉट अबाउट दिस कि ये अगर हम इसमें इंक्लूड कर पाते हैं गियर शिफ्ट वाला पैटर्न, सो वो कैसे स्टार्ट हुआ?
So when we in 2019 when we were starting out, we spoke to a lot of consumers कि electric bike क्यों नहीं खरीदते. In 2019 there were only a handful of players who were giving motorcycles as a product, and what we realized is that motorcycling is emotion driven. you name your bike, you work with it, you control it, you become one with your bike. And from there, the common theme came, control nahi mil raha, feel nahi aa rahi. And obviously, once we started translating कि हमें क्या सुनाई दे रहा है और कस्टमर को क्या चाहिए, and we've spoken to over 500 customers on this. Clear indication, gear तो चाहिए. And that's when we said कि let's make something that the consumers truly want. ऐसा नहीं कि जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसी को वापस पैकेज करके दे देते हैं. Let's make it. तो वहाँ से when the journey started, we had to make our own motors. We had to make the gearboxes, the batteries, the electronics, the entire vehicle from scratch.
And nobody would have, I believe, nobody would have thought of जितने भी EVs, two-wheelers इंडिया में अब आ रहे हैं, ये gear वाला किसी ने, I think,
we are the first in India to have actually put gears on a
electric bike
or an electric two-wheeler.
So, I mean, ये एक चीज़ है जो स्टैंड आउट करती है मैटर को बाकी सभी EVs या और भी जो ब्रांड्स ऑलरेडी मौजूद हैं मार्केट में. इसके अलावा आई हैव सीन वहाँ पे एक कॉन्सेप्ट खड़ा है एंड देयर इज वन कॉन्सेप्ट ओवर देयर एंड दिस वन आई रियली लव इट राइट नाउ. आई होप ये जिस शेप में है एटलीस्ट 70-80% इसका ये शेप वैसे का ही जब फाइनली प्रोडक्शन वर्जन में देखने को मिलेगा.
डेफिनेटली.
सो इन दोनों को लेके आपका क्या प्लान है एंड व्हाट उसका पर्पस क्या है, इसका पर्पस क्या है, यू कैन प्लीज.
सो डेफिनेटली. सो while the Matter motorbike sits in the 150-200 cc range of vehicle, we wanted to, in line with our vision of accelerating India to electric, we also wanted to create mass market products. And that is where, let's call it the sub 150cc, because exact cc to electric powertrain.
Right now you're calling this EXC concept.
This is the concept EXC. So the concept EXC and the concept UT, both are built on the same platform. Both come with swappable batteries. Both can be, so both are very flexible platforms which allow you to accessorize it a lot, change it to the way which is suited to you as a consumer best. Both of them are connected platforms. In that sense, they are very, I'll call them younger siblings of the Matter motorbike. But coming down to the swapping technology, एक बैटरी भी लगा सकते हो, दो बैटरी भी लगा सकते हो, बट अगर स्वैपिंग स्टेशन पास में नहीं है तो रेगुलर 5 एम्प के सॉकेट से गाड़ी को चार्ज भी कर सकते हो. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि स्वैप ही करना पड़ेगा.
You can also charge it at home.
You can charge it at home. You can swap it.
And also
now comes the last piece in the ecosystem for us is we have done a partnership with Luminous Power Technologies, the leading inverter manufacturers, and
home dock को लेकर.
And we've created the home dock. The home dock is essentially, it's a very fancy looking piece of power solutions unit, and जो गाड़ी की swappable battery है, you can actually carry it home and charge it in your home also. But now the best part.
And how many batteries can you fit in there?
2 can be fit in there. Now the best part, if you lose power in your house, the same home dock can actually act like an inverter and power your house from the same batteries you took from the vehicle.
That's really cool.
So this for us is the ecosystem. So the home dock, concept EXC, concept UT, and the swapping station. This is our future roadmap in terms of where we are looking at in terms of next mobility products. So all of these will be out on the market in less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years.
Yes, before the next Auto Expo, we will be there. So those will be here at next Auto Expo.
And also, I mean, first time जब Matter bike unveil हुई थी, we saw it for the first time. उसके बाद किस तरह का रिस्पॉन्स आपको कस्टमर्स की तरफ से या जो भी आपके फ्यूचर कस्टमर्स हैं उनकी तरफ से किस तरह का रिस्पॉन्स रहा है, फीडबैक आपको देखने को मिला है?
रिस्पॉन्स हैज बीन फिनोमिनल एंड द रीजन इज दैट विथ the right connectivity solutions, navigation, call control, music control, the liquid cooling technology which is cooling the battery pack, the electronics, the motor and the gearbox. Apart from the looks and the styling, consumers find this to be the bike that they have been asking for the longest time, because electric vehicles have been here for about 15 years in India. And this is the first time that they are finding something that really resonates with them. something that has really solved their pain point, solved their need, and with the flexibility to
फोकस आज की बात का essentially ट्रेड टाइज और इंटरनेशनल कोऑपरेशन जो मल्टीलैटरल फोरा है जैसे यूएन
So on your screens are visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in conversation with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who's already arrived in India, and much anticipated what's going to be on the agenda really as far as this key interaction is concerned. But yes, this is the Italian Prime Minister's visit, the first by a top leader from the European nation in the last 5 years. She was in fact received at the airport by Minister of State for Health Bharti Pawar, is being accompanied by the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister as well. This is of course on the sidelines of the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting, and you can see the two world leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Italian Prime Minister, there in a conversation as part of the G20 foreign ministers meet. Remember, several nations currently participating in the meet, and it's a mega news break that we continue to track with regards to what really comes of these series of interactions. And as part of the same, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacting with the Italian Prime Minister. Remember, she's also the chief guest and keynote speaker at the 8th Raisena Dialogue, which is also going to take place today itself. So those are the latest developments that we continue to track for you. The Italian Prime Minister, also to highlight here, was accorded with a ceremonial welcome at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan. That's the kind of welcome that the Italian Prime Minister did receive, and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Prime Minister Meloni holding discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will also be calling on the Italian Prime Minister. So those are the kind of meetings that are taking place as we keep up with everything that is taking place with regards to the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. In fact, we're being told that the Italian Prime Minister will later in the afternoon meet President Draupadi Murmu as well. Let me quickly take in a word from Rishabh joining us with more details as we keep up with these visuals of the Italian Prime Minister interacting with Prime Minister Modi. Rishabh.
So yes, the Italian Prime Minister is here in India for a 2-day visit, and she's meeting the Prime Minister. The major defense projects were discussed during this meeting. Apart from that, the bilaterals happened, and India discussed a lot of global issues with Italy. Remember, Italy is one of an important partner with India when it comes to Europe, and that makes this visit all more important. The major outcome from the meeting will obviously be the defense deals that India and Italy have signed. We'll have to wait for further information from MEA to understand what all were discussed. But for now, what we know that major defense deals have happened, and bilaterals have happened over global issues pertaining to Russia-Ukraine conflict as well, and how that has impacted the food and energy supply. The whole supply chain that has been disrupted because of the conflict. So we'll have to wait and understand what are the other major outcomes from the meeting.
Okay, can you also take us through, Rishabh, the key highlights of the External Affairs Ministry statement on what really transpired as far as this bilateral meeting is concerned, but because it is said to have laid emphasis on the shared cultural values, commitment to foster economic growth, and how the two countries have been cooperating closely in various multilateral forums.
See, definitely, India and Italy have been a long-time partner, and they have both India and Italy have had cordial relations in the past as well. India and Italy definitely share cultural ties as well. And Italy has always been a country that has supported India at different forums. The different diplomatic fora as well. So, when it comes to Europe, India looks at Italy as a trusted ally, and that's the reason that this bilateral meeting at the top level is happening at a time when the world is reeling under the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So that's the reason that this meeting has happened. And as for the sources in MEA, Times Now can confirm to the viewers that the way this meeting has happened has been very cordial, and a host of issues have been discussed, including bilateral issues and global issues when it comes to cultural connect, trade, as well as defense.
Right, Rishabh, Siddharth here. We were, of course, discussing Prime Minister's bilateral meeting with the Italian Prime Minister, but a big meeting also planned between Dr. S. Jaishankar later in the day, along with his Chinese counterpart as well, and it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
Definitely, Siddharth. If you see the meeting that is scheduled to happen between External Affairs Minister and his Chinese counterpart, it was scheduled for 12 p.m. But the bilateral has been running late. What we have been told that the first bilateral will happen between India and America, and after that, India and China will sit together as well. And remember, this comes just after the last high-level meeting that happened in Beijing, where both India and China decided to solve all their mutual issues diplomatically. And that was a very fruitful meeting between India and China. On the, after that, going forward from there, both the foreign ministers will meet. And remember, this is the first meeting happening after the Tawang skirmish that has happened late December last year.
Absolutely, Rishabh. We'll, of course, come back to you for more updates on how that meeting pans out. And, of course, thanks for giving us a perspective into the kind of discussions that Prime Minister Modi and Giorgia Meloni have had with respect to Indo-Italian relations as well. Now, we'll take a very quick look at the headlines at the back half of this hour. At 12:30 p.m., the NDA has consolidated its footprint in the Northeast. A big victory for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tribal outreach. And the BJP has swept Nagaland along with its dominant alliance partner there, the NDPP, and is currently leading in Tripura. Conrad Sangma's NPP leads in Meghalaya, is likely to form a government in the state there in a possible post-poll alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party, but more details on that still awaited. It's a big loss of face for the Congress party in the Northeast. Loses in all the three states and faces a credibility crisis as an alliance partner in the build-up to the 2024 Lok Sabha poll. Well, the Congress party candidate EVKS Elangovan leads by over 12,000 votes in the Erode by-poll in the state of Tamil Nadu. Celebrations in the DMK Congress camp begin. Well, this is a landmark reform on the part of the Supreme Court for the appointment of the election commissioner. It says that election commissioners will now be appointed by a panel including the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition and the Chief Justice of India in a bid to maintain sanctity and purity of elections. More developments in the Supreme Court, which has now formed a 5-member committee headed by former Supreme Court Judge Justice A.M. Sapre for the Adani row. The panel will be submitting a report in 2 months' time in a sealed cover to the court. Prime Minister Modi addresses G20 foreign ministers meet, highlights global governance has failed highlighting multilateralism, which has been in a state of crisis. He also calls for a renewed push for a global consensus. Amid continued tensions at the line of actual control, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to hold key bilateral meet with new Chinese counterpart Qin Gang on the sidelines of the G20 Foreign Ministers Summit. Operation Mitti Mein Mila Denge continues in Uttar Pradesh. Authorities likely to demolish the house of Atiq Ahmed's alleged arms supplier, Safdar Ali. After the BJP MP Subrat Pathak hints at an encounter, Atiq Ahmed moves the Supreme Court, opposing being shifted to Uttar Pradesh for further investigations. He claims that he fears for his life. Well, we turn our focus back to the ongoing G20 Foreign Ministers Conference. 2 important bilateral meetings are set to take place today on the sidelines of this summit. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is scheduled to meet the US Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, and also the Chinese Foreign Minister, the newly appointed Chinese Foreign Minister, Qin Gang. Now, during the bilateral talks with China. Jaishankar is once again expected to reiterate the Indian side's stated position on disengagement of troops on the line of actual control and restoring peace and tranquility in the border areas. And according to people familiar with this development, the two sides are also expected to talk about the possibility of holding the next round of high-level military talks very soon. Let me go across to Rishabh. Rishabh, tell us about the likely discussions that Dr. S. Jaishankar is going to have with his new Chinese counterpart, Mr. Qin Gang, especially on the situation that currently prevails on the line of actual control.
So when it comes to India and China, Siddharth, it is an important bilateral that everyone is looking up to. Remember when the Chinese counterpart, the Chinese foreign minister, came to Rashtrapati Bhavan for the G20 summit earlier today, there was a warm handshake, and the body language actually showed that both the leaders were very comfortable with each other. Remember, this comes after a high-level meeting that happened a fortnight ago in Beijing, where a lot of issues between India and China were discussed, and it was agreed upon that all the mutual issues, all the mutual conflicts that have happened between India and China will be discussed and solved diplomatically. That meeting also agreed to have another Corps Commander level talks in Western sector, in Eastern sector, which is the Ladakh sector. The 18th round of talk will happen there. Apart from that, today what we are expecting, the bilaterals that was scheduled to start at around 12 p.m. India time is running late, but the meeting will happen, and it is likely to discuss all the ongoing issues between India and China, especially the LAC issue. Remember, this meeting is the first meeting that is happening after the Tawang skirmishes that happened in December, and that issue is definitely going to come on the table.
Rishabh, I just need to interrupt you for a moment because we need to go to Mr. Brahmachalani as well, strategic affairs expert, who will give us perspective in the build-up to these discussions. Mr. Chelani, it was just a few days ago, almost about 10 days back, that the talks under the working mechanism for consultation and coordination on India-China border affairs were held between the two sides. It was the first such meeting since 2019 between the two sides. And of course, we're also talking about the possibility of commander-level talks continuing on the LAC issue. What are your expectations out of this interaction that Dr. S. Jaishankar will have with his Chinese counterpart?
India-China talks at different levels, diplomatic and military, have been ongoing for the past nearly 3 years, ever since the Chinese made their encroachments in Ladakh in April 2020. In fact, the talks began in June 2020. So we have seen the talks really stretch out. The Chinese are seeking to prolong the talks without making any concessions. As a result, the border aggression by China continues. In fact, China is now consolidating its presence along the India frontier by moving more offensive forces, not just in the Ladakh sector. In recent months, despite the brutal Himalayan winter, China has beefed up its offensive force levels on the Tibet-Arunachal Pradesh border, as well as in the area that overlooks India's so-called chicken neck. In other words, the entire border between China and India today has become a tense, hot border. So the talks really haven't produced the kind of breakthrough that would lead to China agreeing to withdraw its forces from the areas it has encroached upon in Ladakh. In some areas, there have been buffer zones that have been created, but the buffer zones have largely been created on Indian patrolled areas, and those buffer zones are supposed to be temporary measures. So a lot needs to be done, and I don't think we should expect anything breakthrough to emerge from this bilateral meeting between.
We'll also have to wait and see, Mr. Chelani, how aggressively we actually take these issues up with the Chinese during the course of this meeting. Please do stay with us, sir. We have to just cut into a short break for the time being. We'll come back with a lot more on this specific story on the other side.
चुका है पोको X5 Pro का बॉक्स टेबल पे। अब इसको जल्दी से करेंगे अनबॉक्स। ब्लैक और येलो कलर का ये बॉक्स है, जो ज्यादातर पोको के स्मार्टफोन पे आपको येलो कलर, जो इसका सिग्नेचर कलर है, वो दिखाई देगा। Sometimes it is really tricky to take the tapes off, so let me try it with my nails. One tape down successfully. गाइज, ये जो फीलिंग है ना अनबॉक्स करने वाली, ये काफी ही मजेदार लगती है। जब भी आप कोई नया गैजेट अनबॉक्स करते हैं तो मजा तो आता है। जैसे कि यहाँ देखेंगे, बॉक्स के पीछे की तरफ बहुत सारे डिटेल्स लिखे हैं, बॉक्स के बारे में फीचर्स लिखे हैं, वो दिखाएंगे और उसके बारे में बात करेंगे जब फोन हाथ में आ जाएगा। इनसाइड द बॉक्स यू गेट दिस लिटिल पेपर बॉक्स एज वेल, जिसमें ज्यादातर पेपर वर्क और प्रोटेक्टिव केस ही होता है। लाइक आई सेड, वही मिला है हमको। यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा मैनुअल टाइप है। यहाँ पर फोन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आपको मिलता है ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोटेक्टिव केस, और साथ में सिम इजेक्टर टूल, विच इज वेरी बेसिक। अब मुझे बॉक्स के अंदर दिखाई दे रहा है हमारा डिवाइस, जिसके बारे में ये वीडियो बना रहे हैं। उफ, very vibrant and peppy yellow color. Just like the box, the smartphone also boasts the combination of black, or call it dark gray, along with yellow. और कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग डिजाइन आपको फ्रेम्स पर भी दिखेगा। जो कलर आपको यहाँ कैमरा मॉड्यूल पर दिख रहा है, पीछे ये जो पैच पर दिख रहा है, वही आपको उसी कलर का फ्रेम दिखाई देगा विद येलो एक्सेंट्स। वेट की बात करें तो अच्छा है, लाइट वेट है। और यहाँ पे जो येलो है, दिस इज लिटिल बिट डल, नॉट एज वाइब्रेंट एज द बॉक्स और प्रॉपर येलो। वैसे तो मैट फिनिशिंग है, लेकिन ये जो कलर है, इसके अंदर हल्का सा ग्लिटर आपको दिखाई देता है। फ्लैशी नहीं है, अच्छा है। इसको साइड में रखते हैं, अभी अदर फोन से आपको दिखाई देगा। इसके अलावा दिस डिस्प्ले इज प्रोटेक्टेड विद कॉर्निंग गोरिल्ला ग्लास 5, तो आपको इतना टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि डिस्प्ले को कुछ हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। द फोन इज ऑल्सो ऑफरिंग IP53 रेटिंग टू प्रिवेंट ऑल द डस्ट एज वेल एज वाटर स्प्लैशेस।